is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
With the countdown to the end of the season on, Henry Bennett was able to polish off the 2018 Classic IndyCar Series with a win at Mid-Ohio, confirming him as the 2018 Series champion. With just 3 rounds remaining as we head to the final oval of the season and the final race in the United States of America. We head west to Chicagoland, which will play host to 200 laps of high-intensity racing, where drivers will be looking for every point possible so that they can finish on a high. Jack Stiles alongside Randy Chenoweth will be bringing you all the action for 2 hours. Qualifying got underway just 10 minutes ago, and it is going to be running out of in a few moments time. The drivers have 2 attempts to get a lap done here at Chicagoland. It is of course another one of these 1.5 mile ovals with a very high average speed. We're looking at lap times at around 25-second mark. So as the drivers will make their way down onto the grid to form up behind the pace car, we can take you down to show your starting grid. Matt Cook was able to take pole with a time of 25.377, with Randy Shoemake starting alongside in second, Joshua Chin in third, Randy Krosno in fourth, and Robert Grosser is going to be lining up in fifth place. Jan Hoffman, a new addition to the Logical Vortex squad, going to be lining up alongside his team boss in sixth. Henry Bennett, the season champion, is going to be starting off seventh, Joshua Baird in eighth, Sam Sanders in ninth, and Noah McBride going to round out the top 10. Hans Pitkin and Benjamin Gregory, Jos van der Ven, Marshall Stanley, Sam Winton, Timo Isinyemi, Johnny Garrett, David Costello, Mike Gerlicher, Andrew Adair Saunders, Jonathan Diggs, Lucas Laville, Carson Brodby, Todd Novosad, TM Hauser, Andrew Wood, John Emsweiler, Caleb Weekly, and Matt Molnar round out the 29 car field here today for 200 laps of racing at Chicagoland. As the music dies down, it shows that we're about to get a little bit more serious, and I can finally bring in my co-commentator Randy Chenoweth into the action. Randy, Chicagoland is an oval which you have to be very careful with because of that very high average speed.
Yeah, it definitely is. This 1.5 mile cookie cutter style oval has been the home of some fantastic racing, of course, in American open wheel IndyCar racing before, but still, it is very, very dangerous, and you need to be very, very careful when you get around this place.
And of course, you were having a look. I believe you've already seen a lap guide here at Chicagoland. Although I think we might be about to see it, and Randy might be able to tell me a little bit more. So we are going to show you that before these drivers are able to bring themselves round to the green flag. If you haven't already seen it.
Banking, we'll stage our entrance right at the beginning of the safer barrier with speeds of 215 miles per
right
hour.
Now,
we
as
want
it
to
shows
apex a little later than normal in the middle of turn 2, allowing for us to keep our foot to the floor throughout the corner. Going down the rounded backstretch, we'll see a lot of maneuvers for passing. Entering in 3 and 4, these 2 turns will be a lot more forgiving as the exit is more open than 2. We will apex around the middle of the corner, and we'll want to set ourselves up with a low line going through the tri-oval and looking to complete laps around 26 seconds long. This has been a tour of the track built by the famous Bill France Sr. and Tony George. I hope you enjoyed the race.
As Joshua Baird gives you an insight as to what these drivers will have to deal with over the next 200 laps. The field is off behind the iRacing Mustang pace car. The field will be under the control of Matt Cook. He is going to decide when the field jumps and when they will go racing. There isn't actually a straight point on this oval. Even the back straight has got a little bit of a left-hand curve to it. As they head themselves down this back straight, some very quick drivers starting very far back in the field that you need to watch out for. TM Hauser starting in 25th, Timo Isinyemi in 16th. Drivers that are very, very fast. Of course, the driver Jan Hoffman's been getting quicker over the course of the year. Robert Grosser starting in 5th. He is always one to watch. But watch out for the driver of Matt Cook. He won on the last oval last time out at Pocono, and if he can beat Henry Bennett here today, he will bring himself away with the Classic IndyCar Series Oval Championship as the pace car brings itself down onto pit lane. The field is under the control of the 46. Oh, we are racing here at Chicagoland. An absolutely great jump by the driver, Matt Cook. Randy Shoemake was not able to follow, and Joshua Chin has got a great run down the inside into turn number 1. So Josh Chin going to elevate himself up into second position before they've even got in through the first section of corners. They have got a bit of a gap, though, the top 3 already. Randy Crosno in 4th. Wasn't able to get a good start. Joshua Chin this time having to defend from Randy Shoemake for second position as they head into turn number 3 for the first time. So Randy Shoemake back into second position. Matt Cook there, Randy, got it absolutely spot on with the drop of the green flag.
Yep, the exact sort of start you want to get from Matt Cook, able to give himself a little bit of a margin, and Joshua Chin not really getting the line right in towards turn 3, of course giving up that second spot. One driver coming off pit road, going to be down a lap here early in this one, but for that in the iRacing Indy 500 winner this year, not going to be happy with where he currently sits. Randy Crosno settles into P number 4 with Jan Hoffman currently rounding out your top 5. Whole field more or less single file, a little bit of side by side in the back. And we're taking a look at the 17 of Sam Whitney, who's fallen 4 or 5 spots since the start of this.
He's already down to 19th position. He's having to defend from one of the other drivers. I believe that may be Lucas Laville. It is. So Lucas Laville in the number 2 machine. Another new signing to the Logical Vortex Sim Racing squad. Gets him way past Sam Winton. He's also going to get to go past a few other drivers. 2 cars in as many corners there through 3 and 4 for Lucas Laville. New fastest lap of the race goes to Randy Shoemake. He's currently tucked up behind Matt Cook there, Randy. So he's clearly trying to get into the lead, but these drivers need to remember still 196 laps remaining in this one. A long way to go as Marshall Stanley gets his way past Niall McBride for P number 11.
Yeah, it is a 350-mile race here today, so you need to be careful. You need to pick your spots as you go through and through here. So as these drivers work their way down this front straightaway, begin lap number 6 of 200. It's got to be a patient man's game here, and you're seeing that. Most of the field already getting themselves relatively single file. Randy Shoemake, though, is tucked right under the rear wing of Matt Cook. He's going to give out about a car width, though, through the center of that corner. Josh Chin has settled into that second spot as well.
It just also looks as though the driver, John Elmsweimer, wasn't able to get a great start to this race. He's already 1 lap down. Matt Molnar did not take the start. So 28 cars out running at the moment on this 1.5 mile oval. At some point as well, traffic is going to play into this one as we have a bit of a battle further back. This is the battle for currently the 22nd. We had 3 wide into turn number 3. Andrew Wood was able to get him past both Sam Winton and Jos van der Ven, and now there's more drivers trying to get their way past. I think that's TM Hauser making his way up through the field, so Hauser going to get his way past Jos van der Ven up into position number 24 as they head into turn number 1 and 2 for the 7th time. Johnny Garrett able to get himself past Davis Costello and Andrew Adair Saunders, so we've got a nice good battle here for position number 15 as well. It looks as though the leaders have all settled down, but the mid-pack still got the handbags out and really going for it now as Lucas Laville goes for a move around the outside of Davis Costello.
Yeah, people making moves up and down the field here. Of course, that you'd expect in the early goings. You see that that 058 car, Dave Costello, down the bottom 2 machine trying to make something happen. That's Lucas Laville. He's the one who just got that move done, and he's still moving forward as he starts putting more and more cars behind him. So Lucas maybe not qualifying as well as he should have, but slowly and surely starting to move his way up through this grid.
Lucas already up 6 positions on where he started. Caleb Weekly is up 7. He is your biggest mover and shaker in the opening stages of this event. He didn't have a great qualifying, starting in 28th. He didn't actually get a lap in, so he's already up to 21st. Lucas Laville really showing how he's not struggling here at Chicagoland today. We got a car off. That's Josh Baird almost ending up on the infield. He managed to keep that one together. I saw him tumbling down my timing screens as he's going to go nearly 3 wide with 2 other drivers into turn number 1. This is now putting him right back into the battle for the mid-pack. Lucas Laville almost making contact. We've got 3 wide, 4 wide. Driver going straight through the middle. That's the 058. Davis Costello going 4 wide as they head into turn number 3. And that was just some brilliant bit of driving going, I'm having a gap. And I'm going to take that gap.
It's not so brilliant anymore. Big incident in 3 and 4 car up in the fence.
And that looks like it could have been the driver of Caleb
Mike
Weekly.
Gerlicka, one of them.
Mike Gerlicka. There was a very large accident, 3-car accident by the look of it. Some contact between the drivers of Sam Sanders and Johnny Garrett. I think what caused that one, it was Sam Sanders and another car. quite sure who that was. I think it might have even been Hans Pitkin. Sam Sanders carried on, but the other car just got spun out and into the path of all the other cars. This midfield pack, when they're bunched up together like that, Randy, you do get accidents like that, and lucky not to involve more cars in that one as they all head themselves behind the iRacing pace car.
Yeah, definitely fortunate in that regard, but probably a little bit silly for people to be fighting that hard this early in the race. To be going 4 wide like that, almost 2 or 3 deep. Caleb Weekly got involved in this as well. He's one of the unfortunate ones. Want to get the actual incident from that 45 car. He's the one I think that was either caught up in it or I think if anything maybe started it. That was Jonathan Diggs. So we're going to have another quick look at this on board with him as they roll down the back straightaway. And you just see the nose get shoved to force it 4 wide when really there's no need to be doing that this earlier in the race. Talking lap number 10 of a 200 lap race. That's a very good way to have exactly what just happened to a number of those drivers. Let's have them in the fence, their day done with 180, 190 laps to go.
And well, just 12 laps into the first run, we have got some visitors onto pit lane. Niall McBride, Hans Pitkin, Sam Sanders, Andrew O, Carson Brovey, Sam Winton, TM Hauser, and Jos van der Ven all taking the advantage. They were some of the guys caught up in that incident. They're in that mid-pack. They clearly want to get some fresh tyres on. Sam Sanders actually overshooting his booth or his pit box there, Randy. So 1050 Barbonair Racing, I know that they had a drive at the ADAC Sim Racing Trophy over the weekend. They're once again back in action here on the iRacing Esports Network in the Classic IndyCar Series, and it's a team that's really taken off this year, actually. Michele Ricci has been doing absolutely wondrous things in the iRacing Le Mans Series of Friday primetime last season, and I know that Michele Constantini is returning to competitive iRacing as well with that very team, so they have a very strong lineup when it comes to both road and oval racing.
Yeah, they definitely do, so it's going to be interesting to see how they can manage this and keep up with that over time. As we keep circulating here under our first caution of the day, Matt Cook has led every single lap, I think, thus far after that phenomenal start at the beginning of this thing. But we should be getting, I think, lights out on the pace car. If not this time, then the next time. Excuse me, as it's very early here in San Diego, at least for me. And the lights indeed, nope, they're going to actually stay on. So we get at least 2 more laps of caution here.
And of course, that does give us an opportunity to give a shout out to the sponsors of the Classic IndyCar Series. It is boosted by Logical, and Logical Innovative Engineering offer great solutions for sim racers who want a more experienced, a more immersive way of experienced sim racing. They do many products. I think the biggest one they do is very large motion rigs. At some point this evening and throughout our coverage of the Chicagoland race here for the Classic IndyCar Series, we will be having a chat to Jorge Anzaldo. He is the guy behind the Lionheart Series. He's also another one of the partners. Lionheart will be offering a prize to Henry Bennett, and it is a personalised plaque which will show their stats from the year. I know Robert Grosser's got quite a nice collection from winning the previous 3 seasons. He has finally been defeated as they come into the latter stages of the 2018 season, and it really is starting to rack up for 2019, because if you thought 2018 was competitive, 2019 is going to be an extra level. Heading themselves out of turn number 4. We're going to get at least 1 more lap behind the iRacing pace car, and then these drivers will be going back to green flag racing, and hopefully they'll settle down a little bit more, Randy, and they can have some nice long green runs. The last thing the drivers want to do is spend most of the 200 laps a day sitting behind a pace car at 100 kilometers an hour.
Yep, definitely true there as the lights go out there. And of course, it is important to remember there is a time limit on this race as well. It's a 2-hour max, and we have seen these races come up close to, and I know in the past they have hit that 2-hour time limit. So, granted, it is a very quick racetrack, and the laps can count down very, very quickly here at IndyCar style speed. You're talking 26, 27 laps. But regardless, if the cautions start stacking up, it wouldn't be an uncommon sight here for the Classic IndyCar Series to see that time limit potentially get invoked.
And it has hit it so far this season, only traditionally on ovals. On road courses, we never really get close to that time limit because, well, there's no cautions involved unless we do need to call one. But on ovals, we do see cautions a little bit more. The drivers have been getting better throughout the season. As we do head ourselves, everyone getting a little bit more reared up. They're heading to the outside, to the high line through turn number 3. The lights are off on the iRacing pace car. So Matt Cook will once again be handed control of the field for the drop of the green flag to go back to green flag racing period number 2 after our first caution of the day. Pace car darts left about now. And we will go back to racing. Randy Crosno trying to predict where Matt Cook will go, but he goes, and Randy Shoemake gets left in the dust in the clutches of Joshua Chin, the Team Camaro driver, looking to the outside into turn number 1. Not going to be able to get it done. So with the single file restarts that we see here in the Classic IndyCar Series, it is a case of not as much overtaking as on a normal race start. So everyone now very cleanly back to green flag racing, and the speed building back up to over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, everything's pretty much single file up and down the field. Maybe a couple side-by-side moments, a little bit deeper in the pack, but everyone's being nice and patient. That is what's nice about these single file starts, though. Here, Jack, is that when this happens, you can pretty much guarantee yourself some long green flag running. We've seen that in a couple series that we cover here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. It is a very good tool used by the league administrators. Granted, this is more because this is what IndyCar did back in the old days as they come to start lap number 19.
As Lucas Laville is moving his way through the field once again, he's already up to P number 11. He's challenging the driver of Marshall Stanley now for a position in the top 10 as they head through 1 and 2 for the 18th time. Lucas Laville does have that lower line, so might be able to get a little bit more drive off the corner. Joshua Baird getting himself past Davis Costello as Lucas Laville gets the move done on Marshall Stanley. So Josh Baird in the 23, he's on the outside of Davis Costello at the moment. He's being boxed in a little bit by the 25 as they cross the line once again. Head down into turn number 1 on one of the only straight sections of this tri-oval. Through turn number 1 they go. And yes, it just looks as though the driver of Marshall Stanley blocking off as we've got a battle for the lead. Randy Shoemake to the inside of Matt Cook into turn number 3 and 4. And I think Randy Shoemake may have got the move done. Matt Cook is stuck on the outside, across the line. Randy Shoemake will be your new leader. So first lead change of the race, and Matt Cook just has to stuck in behind Randy Shoemake. I think that one was being set up right from the drop of the green flag there.
Yeah, it definitely was. Well executed move there by Shoemake. Josh Chin all the while kind of just sat behind there waiting to potentially be able to make a move as well. You see those two very close out in front. Shoemake not very far out in front. Matt Cook has done a good job sliding right underneath that rear wing of Randy Shoemake, but still your top 3 all within about 0.3 of a second right now. Going to make for a very interesting fight. We've seen historically in the Indy cars Matt Cook and Josh Chin fight it out for years for championships. Shoemake's been a part of some of those fights as well, and he wants to be a part of another one here at Chicagoland today, coming 180 some odd laps to go.
These drivers are 3 stalemates of the Classic IndyCar Series, and with IndyCar racing on the iRacing service as they come through 1 and 2 for the 22nd time. Josh Chin just 1.5 tenths back from Matt Cook. So at the moment, 1.5 tenths in road racing speed, might be close enough to make a move, but not on an oval at 340 kilometers an hour. The battle for position number 1, though, Matt Cook really looking to try and get himself back through on Randy Shoemake as they head into 1. But Shoemake going to keep that door nice and firmly shut. He's going to head up to the outside a little bit earlier than Matt Cook. So Matt Cook trying to take a little bit more of a tighter line. Got to be careful because that could use a little bit more of the tyre wear on that number 46 machine, because of course you do need to look after the tyres. We've got some very warm temperatures here today, 22 degrees Celsius in the air, 38 degrees Celsius on the track. So these tyres are going to fall apart very quickly once they hit a certain margin. We're going to be looking at fuel stints of around 35 laps, if I remember correctly, today as well. So as we're currently looking at the 058 of Davis Costello, he is holding off the driver. Oh, he's in a very large battle. This is a good one in the mid-pack, shown by the mid-pack. Always shows us some good racing. Andrew Wood going to the inside of Costello now into turn number 3. Wood, they're going to get very close to touching. Wood just going to avoid it. Wood's going to go through. He's going to get himself up into position number 13 now, and that's going to put him plus 13 on where he started, Randy.
Yeah, he's looking good. Did not get the qualifying he needed in that 32 car, but up 13 spots. Only about 4 or 5 have really come off the back of incidents, so that 32 car has pace. Another driver that's moved up the field like that is, of course, the 2 of Lucas Laville. Started 22nd, currently running P9, so also up 13 spots is that number 2 driver. So he's doing a good job moving his way slowly and, well, not too slowly up through this field as he's lapping. He's pretty much passed nearly a car per lap here.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how Lucas Laville does it. If he has a bad qualifying, watch out for him in the race. Of course, changing teams, he's in a little bit of a different environment now, going over to that logical Vortex Sim Racing squad, adding another great driver to their ranks of the likes of Timo Sinyemi, Tim Hauser, and Robert Grosser, in the forms of Lucas Seville and Jan Hoffman. And Hoffman, actually, Randy, currently running in at P number 7. He started P number 6. He was around where he started. They've only been dislodged by the driver of Henry Bennett, managing to get himself up 2 positions and past Grosser and Hoffman. And for Hoffman, that's a really good signing because, okay, Vortex Sim Racing might not be the squad that they were a couple of years ago, having teams in the Pan GT World Championship, or what is now the VRS iRacing GT World Championship, but they're still a team to watch in IndyCar racing and a force to be reckoned with.
That is really where Vortex strength really lies right now. You're definitely right. They've lost a lot of that momentum that they had going on in a lot of the different types of racing on the iRacing service, but they've stayed strong here in the IndyCars, which is good to see. We know that they've had a couple of drivers that might pop in and out of some other stuff, but yeah, you're right. Vortex really getting back to their roots, focusing pretty much on just the IndyCar stuff here as 2018 starts to wind down.
And I believe quite a few of their drivers jumped ship to the I think it's Red Face Racing. They moved over to, I know Joel Guez did such a thing. Is Robert Grosser still managing to keep onto the back of Henry Bennett, and Jan Hoffman still there as well. So they're running as a current 3-car train. But we've got an instant further behind. We've got 3 cars. 1 car rolling over onto its roll hoop. One of the cars involved was Sam Sanders. There was actually, it was an incident started a little bit earlier on. Sistello was the driver who went head over heels out of the exit turn number 4. That was Joshua Baird and David Sistello getting together by the looks of it. Both getting in the wall, and Sam Sanders just the unlucky party in that one there, Randy.
It all started with David Sistello in turn 4. He clipped the apron.
Yeah, and that's a very easy thing to do. Such a high angle of banking here at Chicago. Hitting that apron will unsettle the car. It pushed him up wide into Joshua Baird. So Baird getting up high into the wall. The number 23. He was saved going over. It just looks as though when Sistello came back across, Sam Sanders wasn't expecting him to be there. And the 30 and the 058 just made contact. We're back to yellow flag and caution. Another caution period here at the Classic IndyCar Series. 31 laps complete. 2 cautions so far, and it's some good racing so far, Randy, today, and a lot of drivers now I expect to see down onto the pit lane.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right about that one. We got 1 car down in the grass. I think that's one that's trying to make it back towards pit road without taking... Oh, we got a car spinning behind, though. Randy Crosno spun under yellow.
And that's the driver from 4th position, the number 74. Just losing it on the apron. He looks as though he may have been coming into pit lane. Just get on the throttle to try and close up the gap a little bit ahead, and he is around. He's back going again, but having to drive across the grass, that's going to cycle him right back to the rear of the field, and that's not something he wanted to do. So because of this, he has now skipped the idea of going down to the pit lane. He's back out to try and skip as many cars as possible. Who's going to win the race or pit lane? It's not going to be Joshua Chin, because Joshua Chin missed his pit box, and the 3rd position driver going to miss it. The car that's going to get out ahead, though, is going to be Randy Shoemake. So Shoemake getting himself out ahead of Matt Cook, or did he? Matt Cook, maybe, just beating him there because he's had to give the position back.
Yeah, I believe it was Matt Cook who got that one there. One of the drivers did knock over one of the exit cones, so pushing the limits there in that regard. But regardless, it's going to be Jan Hoffman who actually pulls a bit of a strategy call and stays out. I believe we also have Randy Crosno doing the same. And indeed we do. So Crosno is going to end up staying out here after that little spin. So a bit of an embarrassing moment there for Randy. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't end up coming down pit road regardless, because, you know, we're 32 laps into this. I do not think he obviously didn't stop at the first caution. Where you're getting deep into a run here at Chicagoland. I don't think you're going to want to stay out, but looks like that's what he's going to opt to do.
It does indeed, as he is going to stay out. Jan Hoffman, this is a strategy call we see very often from Jan. He does go for the idea of going for as long as possible, and if there's a caution, getting up the front and just trying to hold on for as many positions as he can. We saw it happen at Pocono, and it meant that he led about 10 or 20 laps of that event. Bear in mind, that's a 200-lap event, a very long circuit is Pocono for the 500-mile race, and to be able to lead just 20 or 25 laps, one, it's going to give you a real big boost in confidence, but also it's going to show that you do have the pace somewhere, because even to be running up at the front after a caution period, Randy, for as long as he did sometimes, it just shows that there's something there that does need unlocking.
Yeah, that is definitely the situation. We do have a number of drivers, by the way, who opted to take the wave around. They believe some of these would have pitted the last caution, others would not have. Those drivers are Randy Krosno, Jan Hoffman, Andrew Wood, Karsten Broadway, Niall McBride, and Hannes Pitkanen in 6. So you get Matt Cook starting P7, Shoemake P8, and Josh Chin P9. And we're going to get our first glimpse of what these drivers who are up at the front of the field, Jack, what their cars are like trying to work up there in clean air.
Well, Matt Cook has already got a good run in the clean air. This could then play into the drivers of Randy Shoemake and Josh Chin. They have a little bit more experience running in the dirty air of the cars ahead of them, but they've also got to negotiate the traffic, and the traffic is going to be important because there are some slower drivers. Andrew Wood, he started 26th on the grid. He's already running 3rd. He's up 23 positions as we are still staying under caution for now. I believe we're going to be going racing this time by, so the lights are off on top of the iRacing pace car. Randy Krosno will be leading the field round, so we have got very quick up the front. I would expect to see Andrew Wood and Karsten Broadway, Niall McBride. They're going to have a good battle for scrap for P3 on the restart, but watch Matt Cook, Randy Shoemake, Josh Chin, also Henry Bennett. This could be where Henry Bennett starts to come into the factor now, Randy, because of course if he can win, and Matt Cook will finish, Matt Cook finishes no higher than 3rd, if I remember correctly. Henry Bennett will not only be the overall series champion, but he'll also won the championship, which is dedicated just for ovals. And I think taking both championships will be a massive boost for the Brit.
It definitely would. I think he'll be very satisfied with that one as the field rolls their way through. Quarters number 3 and 4, lights out on the safety car, so we're going to go back to green flag racing here for the 3rd time tonight. Second caution comes to an end, and expect that prancing horse Mustang to peel off on a pit road right here, right now.
And as it does such a thing, the field is under the control of Randy Krosno. He builds the tempo, and he is racing once again. So green flag drops to Chicagoland. We're going to go back to green flag racing on lap number 35. Karsten Broadway already getting the move done on Andrew Wood, so he's going to move himself up to 3rd. But he's on the outside line on 23 lap old tyres. And Andrew Wood once again slipping himself through on the inside. So this is a battle for 3rd. They're going to be going side by side. Matt Cook, he's trying to get his way past the driver of Hans Bicken, and Randy Shoemake sitting right on the tailpipe with Josh Chin behind. Henry Bennett wasn't able to get a good enough start to be able to stay right on the rear of Josh Chin, but don't count him out just yet. No change so far in about the top 9 or 10 positions. Still running line astern on the restart, but Matt Cook now to the inside of Hans Pitkanen. Or actually, that's Joshua Baird, so there is also some lap traffic playing into this one here today, Randy. And for Matt Cook, that's lost him a lot of time that he did not want to lose.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy with that whatsoever, but he can't be too aggressive with it at the same time. You need to sort of keep a cool head when you're in this situation. You're at a very fast car, and because of some pit stop strategy, you find yourself in a little bit of traffic. Worst thing you can do is try to get too aggressive with this in the early stages of the restart, especially with 163 laps to go.
And with that 163 laps remaining in this event, you do not want to be making silly errors. Do not want to be putting yourself into a position where you could throw it all away at any instant. That throwing it away at any instant is something that drivers have done before, and it's something that they will want to avoid. Matt Cook, he's up 1, and it just looks as though Josh Chin has already managed to get his way past the driver of Randy Shoemake. So Shoemake actually now dropping behind Bennett. He's moving to the inside of the Brit. So this is the battle for position number 9. He's trying, but cannot get himself far enough alongside. Josh Chin now has managed to get his way past the driver of Hans Pitkanen, so he's going to break himself up into P number 7. Pitkanen just dealing with the traffic of Joshua Baird as Randy Shoemake now going to the inside of Henry Bennett, but he's going to get blocked in by Joshua as well. They touch, and it just looks as though the driver of Baird has shoved the driver of Randy Shoemake onto the inside of the track. He's managed to keep it out of the wall though. We are going to stay green flag racing for now. And we will. So Randy Shoemake, very clever driving to avoid us going to yellow flag. That is all of his hopes of a win gone in an instant.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate there as drivers continue circulating their way through. He's not going to be too happy about the way that one panned out, but not much he can really do as Bennett's going to keep trying to charge on here in that 007.
And the 007 is one of the cars you have to watch out for. The bright orange machine, he has dropped behind the drivers, just ahead of them. Something that he didn't really want to do, because as long as you lose the draft, you lose the advantage that you're going to gain off of Joshua Chin getting his way past the driver of Niall McBride. Matt Cook doing a similar thing, so Josh Chin has managed to get his way past Matt Cook as well. Now, Randy, the next drivers ahead is that battle for position, or the 4 cars in the lead train. They've got to close that gap quickly. If they get a caution now, it plays into their hands very, very well.
Definitely does. It's a 1.2 second disadvantage, though, that Josh Chin has to find somehow, some way to reel in, and that's not going to be an easy task, even with as quick as those cars were up in front of the field early on. Matt Cook showing a little bit of a nose to the high side, but likely not going to do too much of it. I think Matt kind of knows the score right now and knows that they need to try to reel in that group out in front. Did a very good job of it last time. Josh ran a 25.741 versus a 26.0 of Carson Broadway in P4. So I think Matt Cook will see that, likely realize that, and you'll see them single file here at least until they get to that train of cars.
I think those two working together will be able to pull it off much better. Let's have a look at what the lap times are like as they come across the line this time. The drivers ahead of him going to be doing lap times at around the high 25s. Joshua Chin at 25.661. Fastest lap of the race still going to Randy Shoemaker, 25.610. So these guys are doing almost fastest lap pace now, Randy. The gap is already down to 0.4 of a second between Carson Broadway and Josh Chin. So as soon as these drivers see these two approach them, they're going to be wanting to think, right, am I going to let them through? I am going to make them work for it. And I would probably say that at this stage of the race, may just be safer to say we're approaching the call-away mark. Let's just let them have it. Drop back a little bit in the field, because we know that we're not going to be able to keep up this same level of pace.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the situations you need to be thinking about in this stages of the race. And the other thing I'm thinking about is, when are we going to see that 74 car come off towards pit road? Because Randy Krosno has yet to come down onto the lane during this race. Didn't come down during the first caution. Didn't see him during the second because of his spin as well either. So that 74 car going to be really light on fuel, likely why he's still able to hang out in front. But Josh Chin and Matt Cook have checked into this lead pack, so it's now a 6-car train fighting for the race lead.
Just to give you a little insight on what the stint lengths are so far, the top two, Randy Krosno and Jan Hoffman, both on 47th lap. They haven't yet made a pit stop, the only drivers to do so. Andrew Wood and Carson Broadway currently running 3rd and 4th. They're on 34.5 lap old tyres. They've pitted once. They pitted during the first caution. Matt Cook and Josh Chin, who are currently having a good scrap for 5th. Not really sure why they're even bothering, because they need to get past the cars ahead before they can start deciding who's going to lead this motor race. They're on 16 lap old tyres. They pitted at the second caution, so they left it slightly later. Matt Cook, he's going to move himself past Josh Chin once again.
That's why he's bothered.
But then what he needs to do is get himself past the drivers ahead. This is more important. Matt Cook going to deal with the first. That's going to be Carson Broadway. Gets it done on the straights with a good run off for turn number 2. Into turn number 3. Andrew Wood going to stay up to the high line now. He's going to be providing a draft for Carson Broadway, but he has nothing to answer to Josh Chin. Andrew Wood's going to be doing just nothing again, nothing to answer to the Team Chimera driver. He's going to slip his way through into 4th position into turn number 1, and he's closing the gap on Matt Cook now. Can he make a move into turn number 3? We will have to wait and see. Andrew Wood, I wouldn't expect to see fight back on the high line. It's not a line that's worked for most people so far today. Josh Chin to the inside of Matt Cook for position number 3. This is the final step on the podium as it stands at the moment. That the two drivers ahead of them are going to have to start thinking about making a pit stop at some point, because they're running flat out for most of this lap. They've got to be running on fumes by now.
I definitely, yeah, they need to be coming down pit road very, very soon here. We're 50 laps into this thing. They're trying to extend it. I still don't know why Krosno, after his spin, just didn't end up coming down pit road. I know it's not a good feeling to drop that much track position, but you know, this early or as early as it was in the race, I think would have been a great time, as he's going to move up the racetrack. Matt Cook's going to go through and get back right to the race lead, and Josh Chin, I think, will likely make that same move happen in towards 3 and 4. He tucks in underneath the rear wing of Krosno for a moment, then immediately peels it down to the inside. So move Josh Chin here momentarily up into P2, and he gets that job done.
Drivers of Randy Krosno and Jan Hoffman go to the side. They touch. Hoffman also makes contact with one of the drivers behind. I believe that was Andrew Wood. But that is a very large incident for the two drivers who were towards the end of their stint. Jan Hoffman, what went wrong there? I think it was a case of Randy Krosno. He got loose. He got very loose out of 4. That was a death wiggle and a half for Randy. And on the inside was Jan Hoffman. Nowhere he could go. For Andrew Wood, he got collected, but he did carry on. So back to caution, and the third caution of the day.
Yep, we just get a replay on board. You can tell by those wheel inputs from Krosno that car was light in the rear end for sure. So we're going to go back under caution here once again. Another big incident here. That's the third or fourth one we've had. So it's been a very, very exciting race in terms of side by side, and that's resulted in some pretty hectic and big incidents.
Well, I did say during the first caution period that we would have a chance to have a chat to Jorge Anzaldo, and with the way this has been going so far with the green flag running, I'm going to get it done now. So Jorge, welcome to the RaceSpot TV booth, to the Classic IndyCar Series. You are, of course, part of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, another one of these great IndyCar iRacing leagues that we do see, and you are also one of the supporters. Take us through the prize that you offer for the Classic IndyCar Series. I know I did mention it a little bit earlier on, but you'll be able to give a much better insight into it.
Hi, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me. Just really proud to be a part of helping out the Classic IndyCar Series. You know, Robert Grosser and his team, they do such a phenomenal job. And so something that we do in the Lionheart Series is we create these custom plaques where we have one of our graphic artists create a really nice certificate, and then it's mounted to a really nice plaque. Just something that we like to do for the drivers to have something to show for, to hang up on their wall. You know, the Classic IndyCar Series, they run a long and grueling season. As obviously, as you can see here, I mean, the average mileage is 300-mile races. So I mean, it's the real deal. These guys are running open setups. So you know, a season in the CIS, winning that is certainly something to be proud of, and that's really what we wanted to do, is to kind of show some support to these guys, and especially the champions of this series, and Henry Bennett. Obviously, you know, he's already clinched it. So you know, again, we just want to do something nice for these guys, and give these champions something to hang up on their wall to be proud of their long season.
And well, of course, you are more of a fan of the Classic IndyCar Series. I am hoping you've enjoyed this season so far. It's been absolutely great. Just what has been your standout moment so far in the season? Bear in mind we've still got essentially 2.5 races to go before we see the round out of the 2018 campaign.
You know, it's tough to pick a particular moment, but I mean, just obviously just watching these guys go wheel to wheel. You know, these IndyCars, the IR05 has so much horsepower. As you can see sometimes on the restarts, and you know, the cars definitely you know, put a lot of power down. So it really takes a lot of skill to drive these cars, and really the whole series, they're doing a phenomenal job in these races. And again, like I said, just the ability to go wheel to wheel and put on a great show. It's really hard to pick a single moment, but again, like I say, these guys are really doing a great job out there.
And then, of course, you are here representing the Lionheart Series. I'm going to give you a little bit of an opportunity to plug that and just let other people know who probably have never heard of it what you can offer to them as an iRacing league.
Oh, absolutely. You know, basically we're kind of the counterpart to what Robert's doing here. Is we run the modern IR18. As well as you guys, we just recently got onto the iRacing Esports Network, so we're really proud of that. We run a 24 race season with the IR18. You know, it's just a great group of guys, and again, it's some intense wheel-to-wheel IndyCar racing. We run on the super speedways, road courses, and short tracks, and we have a great time doing it. It's a blast, and I'm really, again, thankful for Robert for working with us, for helping us cross-promote each other's leagues, and so I thank you and thank him and his team for that.
Well, Jorge, thank you very much for coming to have a chat to us. You've filled our third caution with something to talk about, so that's always a pleasure, and always a pleasure to have a chat to you. We'll be looking forward to seeing you back here in the RaceSpot TV booth at some point in the future. The field has ran themselves over the line once again to start lap number 56. Andrew Adair Saunders now, the German, has cycled himself into the race lead, and we will be going back to green flag racing this time by, because the lights are off on top of the iRacing pace car. They are off. We do have a lot of traffic between Andrew and Matt, though. 4 cars between them. So Matt Cook has got a lot of work to do to be able to close up to the leader in these opening stages. Andrew Adair-Saunders heading himself to the high line. We're going to go back to green flag racing on lap number 57. So we're past the 25% stage of this event. Very quickly closing in on the 50% mark. We'll be half done here at Chicagoland before you know it. Pace car brings himself down onto pit lane. Andrew Adair-Saunders going to bring us back around to the green flag. Matt Cook getting a good start. The driver ahead of him is Joshua Baird. We know he's already a lap or two down. He's in fact 3 laps down in this event. So Matt Cook going to deal with him nice and quickly as they head through 1 and 2. And there's a nice way to get this event started. Josh Chin still got the work to do there, Randy, though, because he's dropped back behind Joshua Baird. So these guys, they are on fresh tyres. They need to be looking after them and making sure that they can get themselves through a nice long stint that may prevail, because you never know, we might see a green flag pit stop today.
Yeah, we might very well. Josh Chin is going to get through that first lap car relatively easily, as Matt Cook is going to begin to reel in that lead trio here in just a moment. Still Saunders out in front, but that sort of second and third car in line, of course, both are a lap down. Cook should be able to deal with them in quick order, but still not a great situation, as they're going to make him do it the long way around up top.
And for Matt Cook, he's really got to work for this now. He has got fresh tyres as he heads around the outside. Nice and easy move. Carson Bradley's got himself past the driver of Andrew Wood. Matt Cook gets his way past Davis Costello. That means that he is now onto the tailpipe of Andrew Adair-Saunders. Joshua Chin is still 4 tenths behind, so okay, that gap does look a lot bigger than it probably is. But Matt Cook heading as they head into turn number 1. He's going to take the outside line on Saunders, try and go for the race lead. He's not going to get it done on the outside, so he's going to cut back, go for the inside, better drive off the corner. Andrew Adair-Saunders starts moving down, realises that there's a nice aero expansion machine to his inside. Lets Matt Cook go, so Matt Cook retaking the race lead. Josh Chin next. Team Chimera to the inside as they head through turn number 4, through the tri-oval to start lap number 61. He's going to get himself up into position number 2. So Andrew Adair-Saunders in 1 lap, losing 3 positions to drivers who can just set those faster lap times. And for Andrew Adair-Saunders, he's nearly half a second off the pace of Joshua Chin, as Chin now looks to the outside of Cook.
And that's to be expected. You got to remember where Andrew Adair-Saunders qualified P20 well down the order. He's pretty much a full 6/10 of a second off these two that are out in front of him. Henry Bennett now the next driver in line to try to put that number 4 car in his rearview mirror. They're going to be really close off of corner number 2. Oh, and Bennett's going to tuck back into line. Not sure why he would do that for that split second, but he immediately pulls back out and gets down to the low side. So move Henry Bennett up into P3, as Cook and Chin are going to continue to fight it out here.
As Cook and Chin really go for it into turn number 1. Just looks as though Chin at 340 kilometers an hour, you do not want to make mistakes. He's trying to be nice and sensible, doesn't want to put too much pressure onto Cook. Heading into 3 and 4. Once again, I think they're just trying to run line astern, because they know if they can get a little bit more of a gap on Henry Bennett, who's now up to 3rd, they can actually try and get away, try and get a little bit of an advantage, so that if they have to make a green flag pit stop, they have a little bit of leeway for, say, if they have a bad entry, bad exit, or just miss their pit stop, because that can cost them at least a second sometimes. But the gap between Chin and Bennett currently sitting at 7.5 tenths.
Yeah, that gap is pretty sizable right now. So Bennett not likely in a great position to be able to reel that gap in and through, but still, with so much time left in this race, 135 laps, we're only 20 minutes out from the reaching the halfway point on the actual time limit here, Jack. So one thing to keep in mind is if we get a few more cautions, before that 100 lap marker, we might just be in for what looks like a time limited event today. So going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Of course, if it stays green here, we should easily be able to get clear of that. But still, fights out in front, still very close, and still a number of fights up and down the field. The closest one right now involves the likes of Johnny Garrett, Jan Hoffman involved in this, and I believe TM Halder involved. So a couple of teammates scrapping it out here in your mid-pack for 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yeah, it just looks as though there's going to be a bit of a logical vortex scrap going on. Johnny Garrett going to be getting involved in that one, who isn't a logical vortex sim racing driver. Had himself across the line to start lap number 67. Tim Hauser still hasn't got the move done and dusted around the outside, because Johnny Garrett going to slip through on the inside as they head through 1 and 2 this time. The 05 of Jan Hoffman now closing the gap. Watch out for Tim Lewis just behind. Another one of the Vortex Sim Racing drivers. So Vortex Sim Racing very much dominating this battle at the moment. It's the driver of Tim Hauser really trying for Johnny Garrett. I don't know whether there was a touch or whether he made a mistake as they came across the line. I think there was a little bit of a glove tap from TM Hauser, and Johnny Garrett just got sent to the inside, but he managed to keep it going, and that was some very clever driving. Almost looking to go rallycross driving with an IndyCar, which I wouldn't recommend, but keeping that thing on the black stuff, not out of a wall or another car there, Randy. He kept his green, but it just shows that Johnny Garrett, okay, not up at the front, but these midfield drivers still have the skills to pay the bills.
Yeah, and that was very well held there with that little touch. I definitely think that there was a little tap that managed to get him that little bit loose, but the fact he was able to hold on to that was absolutely splendid. Hopefully no undertray damage as he went through the grass at a mildly high rate of speed of like 180 miles an hour, and that will often damage the undertray of these cars. So hopefully for his sake that won't be an issue, as your race lead is still close, but Josh hasn't been too aggressive trying to make this move on the 46 whatsoever, as Matt Cook runs Glacier TV logos, because apparently it's 2013.
Just looks as though Josh Chen, okay, they are within a tenth of one another, and I mean they are 700ths away from one another. That's the time gap between the two, but Josh Chen still being relatively sensible about this one. They have got a 1.22 second advantage over Henry Bennett, so Bennett does not have the draft advantage. Andrew Adair Saunders still running fourth, so okay, Andrew Adair Saunders, he might not always be up at the front. He's not the fastest driver, but his consistency has actually kept him in the top 5. But he is also on 40-lap old tyres, so he's going to have something about bringing himself down onto the lane at some point in the next 15 to 20 laps, if there isn't another caution period, which means that we may start seeing green flag pit stops. The drivers currently who most have pitted, if they haven't pitted once, they've pitted twice. The only driver who didn't pit last time out was the driver of Andrew Adair Saunders. The rest are all 19 laps into a stint, Randy, which means that they've still got a long way to go on this one, at least another 25 laps.
Yeah, they definitely do. Still a long ways to go. Keep in mind that we were pushing about 50 laps when we saw that likes of Randy Crosno. Well, he hadn't even come down pit road yet, so you can go a long way on a tank of fuel here in these cars and in this series. Of course, there was some cautions that aided Randy in that regard, so maybe pushing 40-45 laps if it all stays green, maybe a little bit more still as they continue to circulate here at Chicagoland. Number of fights up and down the field. Robert Grosser, Niall McBride, Lucas Laville, Jan Hoffman in a big one right here. So nice 5-car scrap here on your mid-pack. Once again, tail into the top 10.
And it just looks as though Jan Hoffman was looking to take it 3 wide, but wasn't prepared to do so. Lucas Laville going around the outside of Niall McBride. Nice and easy move. He's next got to go for his teammate Robert Grosser, the number 1 versus the number 2. They're going to go 3 wide as they get themselves past one of the back markers. He's going to make contact with the outside wall, but just avoiding all the cars ahead of him. So we do stay green as Lucas Laville now putting pressure onto another lap driver. That is David Sestello. Sestello is 2 laps down in the 058, so he should technically be getting out of the way for the drivers ahead. The blue flag rules in the Classic IndyCar Series do state that when you get that blue flag, you have to give way for the faster car. With Robert Grosser looking, we've got 3 logical Vortex Sim Racing cars all in a line trying to get past this car of David Sestello. Sestello really needs to yield at some point, Randy, to make sure he can get past, rather than just trying to drive away from Lucas Laville.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's 2 laps down in front of this many cars. Logic pretty much dictates that you need to get out of the way. I don't care if it's written in the rules or not. And this is exactly why, close moment with fighting with one of those lead lap cars with David Sestello. It's exactly what I'm talking about. There's no reason for a driver who's this many laps down to be involved with this fight whatsoever. I understand he wants to get his lap back, and I understand he wants to potentially get back into this race, but he's not going to do it fighting with these guys right here. This isn't going to be the difference between him getting a lap back and not. And you see that 2-car swerve up the racetrack. I think Lucas Laville just a little bit frustrated right there with Mr. Costello, and now he's going to let that second car through, and now that he's up top, should let them by, but another close moment with another car in the back there. So now McBride eventually able to get through. Next in line will be Grosser.
I have a feeling race control may take a look at this one. Once this race has concluded, Robert Grosser next to get past Costello. This is also brought TM Hauser, Timo Isinyemi, Randy Shoemaker into this one. We're going to get a round of 7-car train for position number 7 here, Randy. This is why the midfield is always one you need to watch in the IndyCars. We see it in the real world, we see it in the Classic IndyCar Series, we see it in all of the prime times that we've covered. And of course, you do not want to forget that later on today, it's going to be tomorrow morning for myself, we will know the who will be crowned as the 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series. Their final round is happening this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in the world. This morning, if you're living down under, at the Sonoma International Raceway, or Inferior Raceway as it's called now.
It's called Sonoma.
Is it called?
Yeah, Infineon went away like 5 years ago. Fam, where you been?
Don't know. Living under a rock, probably. Wouldn't be surprised.
Oh man, so yeah, but yeah, a lot of interesting, a lot of excitement happening today. Of course, Sim Racing Expo coming to a close as well, and the race at the Nürburgring happening there. Of course, also the second weekend of NFL football happening today. So hopefully all of you gamblers out there, hopefully your teams are covering the spread, unless they're playing against my teams, in which case I hope they don't cover the spread.
I have no clue what Randy's talking about. I'm British, so don't follow that kind of football. Don't follow football either. But of course, Sim Racing Expo did round out to a close. Maximilian Benecke won the ADAC Sim Racing Trophy yesterday, which was run in the form of heat races. And of course, we have the ADAC Digital 500 today, which was won by none other than Pure Racing Team. So Pure Racing Team managed to win the double, and if you look in the right places on Twitter, you'll actually find the reaction of the team. And this is something I'm quickly going to mention, Randy, because you don't see it very often in sim racing, especially with iRacing, because a lot of the stuff isn't done on an LAN kind of environment. But with the Sim Racing Expo, all the teams in one place with all of their own equipment, all their own rigs, it was a different experience. And to see Pure Racing Team celebrate the way they did, when not only they won the ADAC Sim Racing Trophy yesterday, but they won the ADAC Digital 500 today, it just shows how much passion goes into sim racing with some of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right on that regard. Tons of passion, of course, and that's what you need. And it's going to be interesting to see, of course, as iRacing in particular starts to grow sort of in that market, and as the right parties start to potentially invest in the right ways. I thought I might have heard a car hit the wall. I don't see anyone though, so maybe my audio just playing tricks on me. Actually, no, it might be Todd Novosad, who slowed down the back straightaway and down on the apron, so he may have found the outside wall. Managed to keep that car rolling though, and then slow down on the apron, bringing it towards pit road. But some money comes in, and hopefully we get some more of these events that can happen every single year, because relying on just the Sim Racing Expo every single year really isn't sustainable. Hopefully we can get something happening similar in the United States, maybe something happening over, maybe another event in Europe, maybe something, who knows, in Australia or down in South America. I don't know too many sims for sure that have the likes of Mount Panorama and V8 supercars scanned to the sort of accuracy that we do. So who knows, maybe we can get some killer events that can happen in the future, because we really, really do need it. It is the next step to go forward in order to grow this sim as an esport, is to get people running at some live events. But of course, Pure Racing Team, just talking about that group, I mean, they have really emerged this year, in my opinion, as the best team in sim racing on the road side. You can maybe make the argument for Coanda, given what they're doing in the WC GPS, but Pure Racing Team has been dominant both in the GT categories and in some of the private leagues with the likes of Prototypes and the Neo Endurance and very similar championships as well. So Pure Racing Team having a very, very big end of 2017 and into 2018 as your leaders deal with lap traffic.
I do know of one event happening in Australia in the next couple of weeks. I believe it is next weekend at Sydney Motorsports Park. The VSR Showdown is taking place, and the winner will be able to get themselves a test in a Formula 4 car, which could lead on to great things. Of course, Freak Shortos, winner of the iRacing section of the McLaren 12+ Gamer competition last year. He's been racing in Formula 4 this year in Europe. He has since stepped up to Euro Formula 2.0 for the remainder of the season. I know he's got Angel trying to get himself up to the front of that one. Still under green flag racing. We're heading to the halfway stage, just 10 laps away from it now. Todd Novosad has called it a day in the 34. So does Joshua Baird in the 23 and Jonathan Diggs in the 45. So we have seen 3 retirements so far today, Randy. Other than that, still got 25 cars out on track and 25 cars still going strong.
Yep, and there's still close fights. We still have Randy Shoemaker and Timo Isinniemi involved in a battle here for 12th and 13th. Oh, we got a car on the wall. Who is that? That is Randy Crosland just slipped by it. Who in the world is that? That is Niall McBride, who just had an incident through the center of 3 and 4. So in the midst of our longest green flag run of the day, just as I clicked over to a fight, there's a car finding its way up into the outside wall, and it was that 41 and Niall McBride. Looks to be on the entry of turn 3. He managed to clip that wall, and then that pretty much broke something. And in the center of 3 and 4, he ended up just losing control of that machine. We'll get another view of it.
As we do get another view of it, it just looked like a single car incident. Not much he could do. Slight touch with that outside wall, and he had to bring himself down onto the lane to get himself the repairs done. As we go back to caution racing here at Chicagoland, we're going to step aside for a few moments on the iRacing Esports Network, and we will be back with the coverage of the final 108 laps. Stick around.
My name is Stephen Corpenos. I'm a senior web developer here at iRacing, and I work on the beta UI. It's funny because iRacing has been around for 10 years, but we want to keep delivering the best possible user experience to our customers, and we've found that the old UI isn't exactly what we're trying to deliver in 2018. We want to use new features and provide the best possible experience when using the sim. One of the projects that I've been working on is some custom heat racing configuration for hosted races. We've been listening to our customers. Everyone's been asking for custom heat races. Maybe you want to tweak a few things with the preset iRacing configurations. Well, now you can using the beta UI. So once you're at the homepage of the beta UI, you just go to create a race. Then from there you go to your set race options. And you'll notice here under event types, you can actually choose heat racing. First, I'm going to show you how to create a new format from scratch. You can choose the number of entrants. And as you can see, when I made that change, the change was actually reflected on the right side in the graph. Also, you can use the estimated duration at the bottom of the graph when you're changing the length to see what the total duration of your event will be. In addition, you can customize every aspect of the session information, practice, qualifying, heat races, consolations, and of course, the final feature race. Because the beta UI allows us to develop features that are robust and complex, this feature will be exclusively available on the beta UI. Once you've made all of the changes, you can hit save. Say you forgot what you selected. You can always preview it using the preview format button. We are very excited to release the brand new heat racing configuration feature that will be available in Season 3 of iRacing.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulator test driver.
So there's 1.4 behind. this opportunity is huge.
That's it, 46 watts. That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
As we come back to green flag racing here at Chicagoland, Matt Cook retakes the lead with 105 laps remaining. The strategy has played off for him. Everyone has brought themselves down onto the pit lane this time around, so the strategy really starting to kick in, and these drivers are having to start thinking about, what if we hit the time limit? Everyone off to a nice clean start. A little bit of battling further behind the leaders. This is between Andrew Wood, Carson Brodby and Lucas Laville. Wood and Brodby really played their strategy off at the last round of cautions so that they're still there come this one when everyone else decides to make a stop and get themselves a fresh set of tyres and a full tank of fuel.
Yeah, strategy still playing out here, of course, with most of the field coming down on towards pit road. Everyone's pretty much on the same strategy at the moment. These guys scream down the back straightaway. Matt Cook and Josh Chin still really been the only 2 cars that can cleanly and efficiently break away from the rest of the field here, Jack. So as we get to halfway in just a couple of laps, of course, we're going to hit halfway on the lap count before halfway on the timesheet. We're still 4 minutes out from that 1 hour marker getting plugged onto this race. So we should be able to complete this relatively safely without the time limit coming through. But still going to be very, very tight. But these 2, I think, are easily the favorites to win unless something happens. They've just had pace on the entire rest of the field.
But do not count out the likes of Henry Bennett. Lucas Laville has really been on a charge today. Maybe for a top 5, top 10 if their strategy can play off. Andrew Wood and Carson Brodby, okay, they're not as fast as your leaders. They haven't got the pace, but they've got the strategy calls that really start to play off. And for Andrew Wood and Carson Brodby, who are plus 22 and plus 18 respectively, that's going to be a massive boost to their confidence. I mean, this top 10 still all running within about 3 seconds of each other, so just 3.5 seconds now covering that top 10. It shows how close this field is. Anything can happen in the remaining 100 laps of this event, and we are going to hit that halfway stage as they cross the line this time around.
Yep, coming to lap 101 of 200, so officially going to be halfway. Josh has just settled in behind Matt Cook, isn't really doing anything. Isn't trying to make any moves, I should say. First real fight here is the likes of Lucas Laville, T.M. Hauser, Randy Shoemake. Actually, no, Shoemake's not involved with that. I believe it's Carson Broadway who's involved in this as well. So a 4-car scrap here inside, just towards the tail end of your top 5. See that number 35 of Carson Broadway. Defend that bottom groove. Pretty much to the death. The end, Hoffman moves up to the top side. Lucas Laville just sitting back there lurking along with T.M. Hauser.
And T.M. Hauser, Lucas Laville, they're going to work together, the 2 teammates, to try and get the tip past the 2 cars ahead of them. If Jan Hoffman can create a gap, it's going to lead the other 2 through. So 3 versus 1, I don't think it's going to play off very well for Carson Brodby. Jan Hoffman looking up high, looking to the top side of the track. And Brodby just holding that inside line. It just shows how much better the inside line here is at Chicagoland. Lucas Laville now closing up on Jan Hoffman. So the pressure really starting to pile onto the 2. Could we see 3 wide? Could we see 4 wide? Could we maybe even see 5 wide if we got enough cars involved in a battle here today? We will have to wait and see. They're going to try and go 3 wide into turn number 3, but Lucas Laville not far enough alongside to make it work. So they're going to stay 2 wide just ahead in this battle for 5th position. Running a little bit of a staggered configuration at the moment. Just looks as though Carson Brodby, now he's on the new set of tyres, he's able to keep that pace and able to do a very good job of holding off what is a very, very strong squad. More cars getting involved now, and that's Randy Shoemake getting involved in this one. Robert Grosser clearly can't be far behind them as well. So a now 5-car battle for position number 5.
Yeah, but that 05 is going to take a peek to the top groove. That's going to be Jan Hoffman. See if he can make this work. Runs the middle line here through 1 and 2. You have the 2-car of Lucas Laville also running that upper groove and does a good job. Maintains a bit of overlap coming off of turn 2. That's going to help his momentum down that back straightaway. Can he keep it up there, though? Through 3 and 4, he loses about a car length. The 35 could slide up if he chose to, but he's not going to. That's going to bring Laville potentially back into this it's going to bring Jan Hoffman into this potentially just a little bit, but still that upper groove still proving not quite where you want to be and really struggling to make moves on that high line.
Too wide, too deep as they head through 1 and 2 this time. Looks as though a little bit of traffic further ahead might bring this one to a close. Now actually plays into the hands of Jan Hoffman very well. It means that he can get the move done on Carson Brodby, done and dusted, because Brodby had no option but to yield. Randy Shoemake now looking to the high side of the track. Just not going to be able to get the move done at the moment. Lucas Laville once again still trying. These drivers really starting to put on the pressure. And I'm not sure whether Carson Brodby can hold on for much longer, because the pace just seems that top-notch extra that Brodby doesn't have at the moment. Last time around, he was 2/10 slower than all of the drivers he is currently in this battle with. He was the slowest driver out of the wall. And again, it looks as though it's going to swing that way. So for Carson Brodby, he needs to start thinking about, is it worth using the tyre life to actually hold off these drivers? They're 3 wide into turn number 3, and I think for Lucas Laville, that's not Lucas Laville,
Randy Shoemake.
He's going to get 2 done in 1 corner.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Carson Broadway is struggling now that he's lost that clean air. He got sort of shoved into the middle groove, and instead of defending the bottom of the racetrack, he defended the middle, and that opened the door for that 3-car of Randy Shoemake to make that move, and Randy's going to be pleased with himself. We knew that Randy had good pace qualifying in P2, but that Racers for Christ machine just... It seemed like after the opening stint here, Jack just got put on the back foot, got shoved down into the mid-pack, and just was pretty much unable to kind of rebound. And now he's starting to move his way back up, got himself P5, has Andrew Wood to reel in out in front of him. He's been lapping about 2/10 quicker than that 32 machine out ahead of him, so should be able to reel that car in as well over time. But still, Shoemake, regardless, started to make moves as we close in towards the end of this race.
And the best thing that can happen to Randy Shoemake right now is another caution. Touch wood, we will not get one. But for Randy Shoemake, all that he needs now is to hope and dream for that caution after the issues that he had earlier on in this race. He's managed to fight his way back up into the pit. The top 5 battle for the race lead. Josh Chin has managed to get down the inside into 3 and 4 and through back into the lead. So Matt Cook has to drop himself out of the lead once again. But do not count him out. These guys have been going strong all day. And I just saw that swap on my timing screens. And Josh Chin holding that high groove. Still there, but Matt Cook really trying now.
Yep, we're getting a replay of the pass, and it was just a little bit of momentum Josh got coming off of turn 2. Down the back straightaway, the door opened up for him, and he walked right through it. So moved Josh into the race lead. Matt Cook settled into that 2nd spot. They sat nose to tail pretty much all race, and for the most part, it's been Matt who's had the sort of tail part of that was being held. Now it's going to be Josh's turn. Let's see what he can do in the clean air, out in front, and being the first one to deal with the traffic with 80-some-odd laps to go.
And with 80 laps to go, there's still a lot that could happen in this event. Matt Cook clearly is still trying, but I'm not sure how much more he's got to give. Those tyres are still 22 laps old now. Running very similar lap times are the 2 drivers, the 93 and the 46. Henry Bennett not being able to keep up the same pace. He's currently around 2/10 of a second slower over the course of a lap. Randy Shoemake showing why he's got the fastest lap of the race. He's managed to get Andrew Wood within a second now. So for Andrew Wood, he's still trying to hold off, but I'm not sure how much that's going to happen. This battle for within the top 10. Okay, we've got 2 going on, Randy, but they're both as exciting as one another. Not sure where to keep my eyes.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either. It's going to be a hectic one for sure. I think the race lead is going to somewhat calm down, so we're going to look for other fights, I think, up and down the field, of course. Things starting to spread out a little bit, but Randy Shoemake is starting to slowly reel in Andrew Wood in that 4th spot.
And that 4th spot will mean that it will give some vital points to Randy for the remainder of this championship, of course. Heading forward into the final 2 rounds at Silverstone and Phillip Island. They're both road courses, so expect to see some different drivers up at the front of the field. Of course, with the different skills that are needed for different types of circuit, the ovals will bring out the likes of Matt Cook, the likes of Josh Chin. When we head to the roadside, it might bring out some different drivers. Henry Bennett, Robert Grosser, they always show good pace on the road because they're experienced, they know how to use it. I think Matt Cook, he's only doing the oval races this season. He's not bothering with the road races. Randy Shoemake and Andrew Wood now as they head into 3 and 4. This is the battle for position number 4 out on track. Shoemake looking to the outside, but Wood having the slightly more momentum on the lower groove. And Shoemake once again using that higher line, running the middle of the track. It's going to mean that Wood cannot run as high as he might want to into 1. Shoemake, though, not having the momentum to get it done running outside, so he's going to slingshot himself to the inside through 2, and I think he might have got the move done. Andrew Wood going to drop himself down into 5th. He's had a good run up in 4th position ever since the drop of the green flag around 22 laps ago.
Yep, he's doing a very good job here as Shoemake, just running nice, consistent pace, making aggressive moves when he needs to. Next driver is a 007 of Henry Bennett, and Shoemake is roughly on pace with him. Did a 25.98 that last time, but I do think Bennett was dealing with some lap traffic. Keeping an eye up in front, though. Matt Cook has not let Josh Chin slip away. Gap is still basically absolutely nothing as they hit the start-finish line. Let's see, the timing beam says 0.07 of a second between the two.
I wouldn't even say it's that much on difference of lap time as well. Josh Chin running an 8.835, Matt Cook running a 0.812. So the lap times of the two very, very close to one another as they head into 3 and 4 for the 120th time as they cross the line. They're going to have 80 laps remaining in this one. They're reaching another milestone in this one. 30 laps time, already 75% complete. I think these drivers need to start thinking about the time limit for the fuel and not the time limit for the fuels. Oh, wow, words. Strategy going the full distance of 200 laps, Randy, as opposed to the 2 hours, because we've hit another yellow. What has happened here? We have a car stop. That's the number 8.
Ben Gregory.
Ben Gregory involved in that one. I think we have got a slow car as well.
Oh yeah, the 13 and the 8. Let's see what happened as Ben Gregory was involved with this. He was running, I think he was the last running car on the lead lap. That's, of course, that Fitstyle machine, which explains why your sigh of disappointment. And I think he just caught up with Hans Pitkanen, who made contact with that outside wall. So I think that for Ben Gregory, pretty much a innocent bystander there. They just got caught up in another driver's incident.
And Hans Pitkanen just looking like he ran a little bit wide. And for Gregory, not much more that he could do other than run his line as you're running at such a high speed. Pitkanen actually looked like he was loose mid-corner. Maybe lost it and could see it coming, but both look as though they're down and out of this one. Unfortunate run for the Brit. And, of course, as Randy said, yep, unfortunate side for me.
Oh, yeah, Josh Chin!
Oh, my... Wow, Josh Chin on the entrance to pit lane. How do you manage to spin there? I am not even sure I could manage that myself. So Matt Cook going to inherit the lead. And Josh Chin, he's got to cycle himself right to the back of the field that have come down onto the lane.
I don't understand. I am so confused at what Josh did. He definitely picked up the throttle at one point, but what for or for why? I want to get another replay on board with him, which is what we just saw, and I want to just see, just flat out look at the other, get the other onboard camera that we have, because there's no bumps there. I don't know what he was doing. These cars, of course, have a pit limiter, but I don't know. In some regards, nothing more iconic than Josh Chin spinning out while in a good position in one of these races. It is sort of a meme at Chimera. Not exactly sure what happened, but he's going to be deep in this field. I think he comes off of pit road in 13th. The last car on the lead lap is, I believe, what he will be. So if he has any hope of winning this thing, he needs to somehow get through 12 cars to get to Matt Cook. Or excuse me, 11 cars to get to Matt Cook. And then he has to pass Matt Cook all in about 77 laps. So that is an F to pay respects. We are going to take a short break here, though, on Race Spot TV, and we will be back after this.
as we approach the point in the race where the drivers can say they have completed 125 laps. Matt Cook still leading the way after starting himself on pole position. Story coming out of that ad break was that Joshua Chin managed to have a little bit of a trip around himself on the way into pit lane. No one really knows what happened to the number 93 driver of Team Chimera, but he cycled himself back into 13th position. We will be going back to green flag racing this time by, with Matt Cook controlling the field. Henry Bennett sitting in second, though, the overall champion for this year, as we're already going to see a jump from Matt Cook. With the green flag flies, we're back to racing here at Chicagoland Speedway. It just looks as though Henry Bennett wasn't able to get the same kind of jump that Matt Cook was there, Randy, and he is already off to a good start. A little bit of battling for a little bit further down between Timo Isinyemi and Robert Grosser as they head through 1 and 2. But up at the front, nice clean start from the leaders.
Yeah, definitely was. And I will say, I think I'm going to focus the bulk of this restart on this number 93, Josh Chin, because Josh is going to have to be really aggressive, slicing and dicing through this lap traffic. And we know that based on his pace here, Jack, that he should have the pace to pretty much get through this field quickly. But I think this is going to be one of the most exciting parts to watch of this phase of the race, is how this Team Chimera driver gets through the field. And he's already up 2 or 3 spots from where he was, likely going to be involved in a 3-wide moment here momentarily.
As they head themselves into 3 and 4, he's looking to the middle of Johnny Garrett and Robert Grosser. It is going to happen, this 3-wide moment, just about as they head across the line. Joshua Chin dealing with Robert Grosser, dealing with Johnny Garrett as they head into turn number 1 for the 128th time. Or has he got the move done? I'm not sure, because Garetta's got that inside line. Most people did bring themselves down onto the lane last time around, so they've all got fresh tyres and full sense of feel. They're making sure they're in the best position possible for the remainder of this event. Josh Chin actually getting stalled by the driver of Johnny Garrett now, because he's not able to get clear, Randy, not able to get past, which means he's got to run the higher groove, and it is costing him just that little bit of time to the cars ahead. And this is something he does not want to happen, because the longer he has to sit at this stalemate trying to get past the drivers in getting his way back through the field, the longer that Matt Cook has got to try and create a little bit more of a gap at the front of this field.
And he's finally gotten his way through Garrett, so now he's got about 3 or 4 drivers out in front of him. He's going to be trying to reel in. Out in front, though, by the way, things are cooking up. Brandon Shoemake has checked into this lead fight, so it's now a 3-car scrap between Cook, Shoemake, and Bennett. So Shoemake, who's found some pace just a little bit ago, has managed to work his way back forward, and that very well-timed caution for him means that he can get involved with this lead scrap. So we lose Josh Chin, but 2 more players have decided to join the game here for the fight for the race lead.
As Jan Hoffman's managed to get his way past his teammate of TM Hauser, but Randy Shoemake really trying. Henry Bennett having a little bit of a moment through turn number 2 there, so he's going to drop back off of the back of this lead battle just by a couple of tenths. Just a tenth, actually, separates the 2 leaders as they head through 3 and 4. Shoemake, after the issues he had earlier on in the race, he's had an absolutely storming comeback drive to be able to say that he is currently running in 2nd position. He is currently a 10th and a half behind the leader of Matt Cook, a driver who's been so dominant on these ovals so far this year between himself and Henry Bennett. No one, in some places, people haven't been able to get close to him at Pocono. He was in another world, and he was able to just... that was a 500-mile cruise for Matt Cook. For some of the drivers out there at Pocono, it was a 500-mile, absolutely on-the-limit race that at some points did push them past that limit. And I think for Matt Cook, that just shows why he is one of the best.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's Matt Cook. Anyone who's followed IndyCars here in the iRacing service knows that Matt Cook is a talent. He like I said, he was a champion in a couple of private leagues back when this car was a popular one. He sort of fell out of the sim for a while around the time that DW12 came in, and it's good to see him back in racing, even if it is just mostly in this IR05. I know we see him in the IR18 every now and again, but he knows how to put on a show and is one of the sort of classic drivers. You put him up there, of course. Josh Chin has had a very long reign in the IndyCar as well. You have other drivers as well, the likes of Yong-Ho and Tim Miller, of course. Number of drivers that have come in and out of the IndyCars. That some are still there, still running. Others have somewhat fallen out. Martin as well from Team Aero X and Banshee, another group that's That's another driver that's super fun to watch when he does race. Very, very quiet, very cool and calm disposition on Martin, but fortunately doesn't have the luck often. Was in a position to potentially win that iRacing Indy 500 this year, but unfortunately a late race caution gave it to Josh Chin. Well, fortunately for Josh and us at Team Chimera, but unfortunate for Martin. The Martin, I think, would have been a winner that everyone would have been more than happy to see.
As it does look like the top four have managed to break away from the rest of the pack. Quick update on how Josh Chin is doing on his comeback drive. He is up to 5th position. He is just around 2.5 seconds now behind 4th place of Andrew Wood. He is currently running around a 1/10 of a lap faster, so if he has to carry on at this pace, it's still going to take him probably a good 15 laps to try and close that gap down, unless he can start running the very lower lap times that we've seen today, running down in the 25.6s.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a very good job right now, doing his best to try to wheel his way through. Next driver, of course, he'll have to deal with Andrew Wood. Unfortunate thing for him is that the lap traffic is going to halt his progress at pretty much every step of the way. There is, well, actually not much of it right now, not as much as I thought there might be, but coming towards 60 laps to go, Josh does not have a lot of time to reel in what is a 4-second gap. I think the simple fact is that number 93 is going to need a yellow.
That number 93, I have a feeling may need a yellow indeed, because he's still got 4 seconds to Matt Cook. Bear in mind, we've still got 61 laps remaining in this event. We will probably have to see. It's one more stop now to get to the end from where we are at the moment. If we get a caution, I would expect to see some guys bring it down onto the lane. Hope for the best. Hope we get one more caution and maybe see no one then stopping or a few smash and dashes in the closing stages for some of these drivers. Jan Hoffman, he's actually sticking onto the back of Josh Chin. So Josh Chin has got a partner. He could use that as a bit of a drafting partner with Jan Hoffman, although I'm not too sure, because this is two very different teams and two teams which really do have a good rivalry in the Classic IndyCar Series, that of Team Chimera and that of Logical Vortex Sim Racing.
Yeah, you're right there. A little bit of rivalry, but I think they'll still work together. They're smart. Josh is definitely smart enough to know that. And I think that's same with Jan Hoffman. I think Hoffman... Josh is in the wall! And Josh is going to spin off of turn 2 down onto the grass. That is going to be day done, I think, if he doesn't have race-ending damage on the right-hand side of the car. I think he will after the big bump he just caught down in the grass.
And for Josh Chin, the heartbreak continues. The 93, a very heavy instant, being able to keep it out of the wall. We do stay under green flag racing. Okay, he doesn't spin it onto pit lane this time. For Josh Chin, he's just, he's gone. He's gone. As that happened, Randy Shoemake managed to get himself up into the lead. So Shoemake has gone from pretty much stone dead last back into the head of this race with 58 laps to go. He is not going to hold on to that one. If he does, it will be nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened to Josh there. I think he just got tight. Maybe he was looking at something else. I'm not really sure. And Randy Shoemake is going to make off with the race lead the best he possibly can, but Matt Cook, also doing the best as he can, is not going to want to let him slip through here as they scream in towards turns number 3 and 4, approaching 50 laps to go. It's an unfortunate incident for Josh. Josh is back in the car, coming back onto the racetrack. But he's going to be cycling out, I think, 2 laps down? He's working lap. Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to be. So 2 laps down and just behind the people he was fighting with a short time ago. I'm not sure what happened to Josh. But unfortunately, mistakes is something that he's somewhat struggled with. He's either comes out and wins in a lot of these races, either in the IR05 or in the IR18 and the likes of the Indy Elite Series, or he makes mistakes, unfortunately. So still trying to work his way back forward, and I don't think there's going to be any way to rebound from this today.
And Battlefield race lead, Matt Cook. Okay, we are within 55 laps of the finish now, so he is trying a little bit harder. He's taking a few more risks that might play off, might not. As they head into turn number 1, you can see him looking to get himself past Randy Shoemake. The two have managed to pull themselves away from the driver of Henry Bennett, so Bennett just hasn't got the pace here today. He has got a car on the inside. That is the recovering Josh Chin. So Chin, he's gone 2 laps down to 18th. He's not in the contention for any championships here today. He's just here to try and get the race win. It's not going to happen now as they head themselves into lap 147. If we stay green to the end, we will make it on one pit stop, and we will make it within the 2 hours time limit. If we have one caution, it's going to be close. If we have 2 cautions, it will be a 2-hour race. We will not get to the 200 lap mark, and I reckon we will be about 4 laps short.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's going to be just a little bit tight in terms of that. In that regard, a lot of these people, of course, would have loved to see that that incident with Josh Chin bring out a caution, but of course he spun down off the racing surface, so he avoided the yellow coming out. It's good to see, and I want to see the drama of a green flag pit stop late in this race, but you know, all the drivers, they'd love the simplicity of being able to just come down on pit road during a yellow and just top her up then, instead of to have to deal with it here and potentially fighting for the race win, especially if the likes of Randy Shoemake, Matt Cook. You know, you got a tenth of a second between you, and it's very easy to drop a second on pit road and make some sort of mistake.
And losing that time on pit road is the worst place to lose it, because you could lose just a fraction, or you could lose so much time. It's not like out on the racetrack where it's a little bit easier to make up. That time you spend on pit road, the more you spend on pit road, especially under green flag conditions, the less you will spend out on the track doing 350 kilometers an hour, making up the time. Carson probably getting himself past Lucas Laville down in the mid-pack. We're going to stay with your lead battle from now, I believe, as Randy Shoemake still managing to hold off at Matt Cook at the moment. I wonder whether Matt Cook's just trying to settle down a bit, Randy, trying to help himself out, maybe even save some fuel in the draft, so that he doesn't have to take as much to get to the end. 50 laps to go as they cross the line this time. So we are 3/4 distance into the race here at Chicagoland, 350 miles. We are almost getting to the end of this one, and I think for Matt Cook, okay, he's still got a little bit of work to do to make sure that he can come home with the win, but he, at the moment, is my favourite for heading himself down onto victory lane.
And Matt Cook, back in the old days, this is how he won races. He didn't win it by going out and blitzing the field to being the quickest driver out there. He would consistently just sit in the draft and save fuel while up at the front. So for that 46 car, if anyone might be able to make it to the end here without coming down pit road, Matt Cook will somehow, some way find a way to do it if it's possible. I still don't think it is, but he's going to save as much as he can, but that's still relevant, because every amount of fuel he can save here, Jack, will mean that is fuel he does not have to put in the car once he comes down pit road. So it'll mean a shorter stop, and if you're talking just, you know, doesn't have to take much, 3 or 4 tenths of a second, especially if he can maintain this gap to the 3 of Randy Shoemake, that'll be all it takes for him to come away with the race lead.
And as soon as he can get himself back into the race lead, that could be all he needs to stay there, because maybe Randy Shoemake won't have the speed to be able, and the pace to be able to hang on. He's still looking, though, is Matt Cook, looking to the high groove as they head it into turn number 1 through the tri-oval, starting lap number 154 of this event. Do not forget that Randy Shoemake does have the fastest lap of the race so far today. That was set during the time when everyone was in a very large drafting period. And just to show how far these cars can go on a tank of fuel, John Elmsweimer, he's down on the pit lane, but he has just completed a 60-lap stint. And for Matt Cook and Randy Shoemake, they've got a partner joining in with this one by the name of Joshua Chin.
In before, Josh getting into that wreck meant he was able to come down pit road, get full fuel, and as he's currently 2 laps down, because you put people about 2 laps down as a trip down pit road. Oh, if we get a caution, actually, that's going to kill everything. So fuel mileage, everything's thrown out the window. As where is it?
I would say that everyone needs to pit this time around to make sure they can get to the end.
I see Krosno on pit road. We need to find a yellow first.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Randy Krosno. Big incident coming in towards turn 1. He just lost that car all by himself on the first straightaway.
That just looks like, it looks as though coming through the tri-oval, it was actually on the exit of turn number 4. It happened. He lost the rear end, ran it down onto the apron, went back out onto the tri-oval, and then lost it again through the tri-oval. Probably one of the most simple sections of the course there, Randy. It's very unfortunate for him. and he's managed to put himself back onto pit lane.
I've rewound the cameras back about 2 full laps. I want to see if this 74 car had contact either with the wall or another driver, because it looked to me like something was broke on that car. Just the fact that he was struggling to track straight the way he was. So we're going to watch this for a couple of laps. Of course, he's that red, white, and blue car in the center of your screen. The classic Randy Crosno colors. As he works through in a close moment and actually may make contact right there on the exit of turn 2 with that number 35 machine. That is, of course, Karsten Brodwee. So they run through 3 and 4 now, and I think that's exactly what happened, as he was just loose down on the bottom of the racetrack, coming off of turn 4 once again, and he brought it up onto the racetrack, and it was already after he transitioned onto the regular part of the oval. He didn't just spin transitioning up the apron. He spun after he's already in the center of the oval. By the way, Henry Bennett, I believe, comes out in second place. Matt Cook comes out P3.
And Randy Shoemake has still kept the lead, but the driver that we need to watch out for, because he's still a factor in this one, because he has got the wave around, is Josh Chin. Now, if we get one more caution, and Josh Chin gets the wave around on that caution, it will mean that he's back on the lead lap. So it's not all over until that checkered flag flies. We've still got 44 laps remaining in this event. We're going to have at least one more lap behind the iRacing pace car, because the lights are still on, and Josh Chin will get the wave around this time. Of course, as Randy Shoemake will be able to take the green flag. We're going to stay under caution for at least one more after this one, because the pace lights have stayed on. But for Josh Chin, okay, he's had his fair share of issues, Randy, but it's not all over yet, because if my calculations are correct, and obviously, as we have just seen, John Elsworth do a 60-lap stint, with the fuel that he's got in the car at the moment, the stint length that he's on, and how many laps we have remaining, it's not out of the question that Josh Chin can go to the end on this current set of tyres and tank of fuel.
Well, if you're looking to buy some snake oil, I got something to sell you, because I am not a believer the same way you are, Mr. Josh. I don't think there's any way, because, yeah, he's a lap down. He has to somehow, some way, because everyone's going to be good on fuel. People likely are not coming down pit road for the rest of the race. I think even for a caution, he needs to get this wave around and then somehow get himself in position to get another wave around and then get a caution to reset the field. I've seen some miraculous drives in my time, but I don't think there's any ways Josh is rebounding from this.
I'm not sure.
Because you got to remember, he's a lap down after the wave around, because he's already scored ahead of the race leader of Randy Shoemake. So he's still 1 full lap down. So he has to make up that full lap before he can start picking up positions towards the race leader, and he's coming to 40 to go.
But then, okay, we have seen a very long green flag period just then of around, I believe, 50, 60 laps maybe.
To reel in 2 laps?
Yeah, I don't know. It's nothing.
I do know Josh is not going to win this race.
Well, yeah, that's unless something very dramatic happens and take out the 13 cars that are currently ahead of him. Josh Chin will almost certainly not win this race, but we will have to see what happens. And of course, do not forget that at the end of this race, a certain driver will be winning a pro key to Joel Real Timing. Joel Real Timing, one of the partners of the Classic IndyCar Series. With all the oval races, they give away a pro key to the driver who has impressed the commentary team the most. So for myself and Randy, we've got a lot riding on this. We've got 15 euros riding on this. As the lights are off on the iRacing pace car, we're going back to green flag racing this time. Randy Shoemake will be bringing us round to the green flag, with the drivers of Henry Bennett and Matt Cook behind in third. To the top 3, still a very competitive set of drivers, as the pace car brings itself down onto the lane about now. It does indeed. And Randy Shoemake jumps, Henry Bennett follows, Cook follows just as quickly. Back to green flag racing, the green flag flies on the gantry on the right hand side as they head through the tri-oval. Henry Bennett challenging for the lead into turn number 1, but not close enough to make a move done. He might be though, using that higher groove, using the new tyres to his advantage. And well, he didn't manage to get the move done. He's trying into 2. But Shoemake still holding that inside line. Matt Cook watching from behind, laughing, knowing that these guys are using more fuel and more tyres. If he can sit behind this one, not lose too much time, can play into his hands quite well, and just breeze past at some point on slightly fresher tyres. Heading into turn number 1 once again. Bennett to the outside. Bennett to the high line. Not going to get it done.
I think Bennett working the top groove, I think, is smart, because if anything, he's going to be getting a little bit of clean air, and that higher groove will help protect the tires just a little bit. Shoemake's trying to keep that thing pinned down to the bottom. Now, Shoemake did make a mistake last time through down the back straightaway trying to defend. He went all the way down to the apron and then got that car a little bit loose. So that 3 machine, I think, really anxious and apprehensive right now, and that's why you see him defending quite as hard as he is. That 007 of Bennett might just be able to make a move. The door is potentially open off of 2, but the 46 car of Cook is rolling. The 007 has a bit of overlap into 3, but the bottom groove is just a little bit too strong.
A 10th of a second splits splits position 1 and 2. 10th and a half splits position 2 and 3. 38 laps remaining now in this one. Going into turn number 1 once again. Bennett still trying. Bennett still looking. Bennett still not able to get the move done. This has brought Matt Cook all of a sudden back into this one very quickly, quicker than I imagined. Cook looking to the outside of Bennett. Bennett looking to the outside of Shoemake. And Cook going slightly tighter through turn 3 and 4. And I think for Bennett, he's still trying. Not going to be able to get the move done though. Could we see rewind into turn number 1? No, we're not, because Bennett's going to shut the door on Cook, because Bennett's trying to go for a move on Shoemake, but Shoemake using that inside line to his advantage. Cook going for the undercut. Bennett trying to come back across, shut the door, but cannot. He's too late. Cook into position number 2.
Well, he's not really done with it just yet. Bennett's still there. A close moment as they come off turn 4 with 35 some odd laps to go. You also have another fight just behind. This is for P5 on back. Team Hauser, Jan Hoffman, Lucas LaVille, all involved in this one. Andrew Wood as well. So 4 cars scrapping it out for that 4th spot, and 3 cars scrapping it out for the win, as Matt Cook's going to look to the top side on Shoemake. Don't think that's going to work, but Matt needs to be careful that he doesn't open the door for Henry.
And if Henry manages to find an open door, I know for a fact that at this stage of the race, he will go for the move. Cook looking to the outside into turn number 1. Shoemake still holding the low side, and the low side still working for Shoemake, so that's something that he needs to watch out for. Bennett, he's dropped back from this one now by 0.3 of a second, so it's now a 2-way fight for the lead. Cook to the outside into turn number 3 and 4. Shoemake still holding that inside, and Shoemake getting that lower groove, working really well for that number 3 machine for the 46. The high groove not working as well, and that's been shown all day long with just 34 laps remaining now in this event. It's very quickly coming down. If we stay green to the end, it's going to be around just over 15 minutes until we see the drop of the checkered flag.
Yeah, we're going to, I think, be more than safe unless we just get a huge string of cautions that bring it to the end. Henry Bennett has lost a little bit of ground over these top 2. Not much. You might look at that and say, what do you mean, Randy? He's still close, but that car length is big, because that car length back that he's lost to the 46 and Matt Cook, Jack, that means it puts him in a position from... that means to put Matt Cook in a position from having to really be careful making moves on Randy Shoemake so that Bennett doesn't get the line, to now Matt Cook's in a situation that he can just harass endlessly the tail end of that 3 car and be able to get back down into the line pretty much unmolested, because Henry Bennett has fallen that little bit back and he continues to lose ground.
And let's see what Matt Cook can do now as they head through. TM Hauser setting good lap times for himself, personal best in this race, but we're going to stick with this lead battle for now. Randy Shoemake still holding that lower groove. Matt Cook going for a slightly wider line, maybe trying to get a better run off this last corner through the Tri-Oval. Onto lap 170 they go. And to the outside goes Matt Cook once again, but Randy Shoemake holding that inside line for now. Henry Bennett sitting behind, waiting for something to happen between these two. He's left a gap, which is good. Cook to the inside. Cook's got that lower groove that Shoemake's been using, and he goes down. Shoemake's got nothing to answer. Shoemake down to second. Matt Cook back into the lead.
And now I think it's pretty much going to be Matt Cook dominating. I don't think Shoemake has anything for that 46. Matt has just looked too strong all day. He's had stronger cars harassing his rear end than that number 3 machine of Shoemake, but can he make a miracle happen? Keep in mind, while all of this has been happening, that fight for 4th has closed in just a little bit. So Andrew Wood, TM Hauser, Jan Hoffman, Lucas LaVille, those 4 drivers have slowly started reeling in, at the very least, that 007 of Henry Bennett, and they might potentially be able to make something happen of this with that lead group. But with that said, Bennett is still just consistently losing about that 300 to 400 a lap. That is giving those top 2 a huge amount of breathing space right now, as Shoemake is just tucked right under the rear wing of Matt Cook.
And that half a second breathing space is clearly working right now for Randy Shoemaker and Matt Cook, because they haven't got to worry about from behind. They just have to worry about each other. Shoemaker looking into turn number 1, but Matt Cook still able to shut the door, hold him off, and keep that lead. He's in the best position he can possibly be with 27 and a half laps remaining in this event. And for Matt Cook, I think now, Randy, it's a case of try and expand the gap as much as possible over Randy Shoemaker. But Shoemaker has the draft, so he has got a slight more advantage over Matt Cook, because Cook is also having to use that little bit more fuel over the rest of this event. We aren't going to see any more pit stops now. They can just about make it to the end, but it is a case of keeping those tyres nice and fresh as well. You do not want to push them over the edge. In the last 10 laps, you're losing 0.2 of a second, because if you're doing that, Matt Cook could potentially lose around 7 positions.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be much issue whatsoever. I don't think fuel's a problem. I think everyone is good. So using more fuel, I don't think is an issue. You want to use as much as you can here at this stage of the race, because you don't want to be heavy on those closing laps. So for Matt Cook, yeah, the car behind Shoemaker has that draft, but Cook has the clean air, and I think that's much more important right now than any sort of slipstream as they hit 25 to go.
25 to go this time around. Matt Cook still trying to hold off. That breathing space for the 2 ahead has come down just a little bit. Henry Bennett back to 4.5 tenths, but there is some more drivers involved in this one. Andrew Wood, TM Hauser, gonna go side by side into turn number 3. Hauser down to the lower groove, Andrew Wood up to the higher groove. And I think for TM Hauser, he's managed to sneak his way through on the inside, and Andrew Wood hasn't got much to answer, so this is now looking like it could be a 5-way battle for the win. If this gap starts closing, TM Hauser still trying to hold off Andrew Wood. Wood still got that higher groove. He's making it work. Another car getting joined in on this one. Another 2 cars getting joined in on this one. More logical vortex in racing cars. That's Jan Hoffman and Lucas Laville.
Oh, contact! And one car up into the outside wall. That's Andrew Wood. Does a good job of holding on to it. Replay coming up on your screens right now, but Andrew Wood, very, very close moment with one of the vortex cars.
We got a yellow. I'm very sorry, Randy. We have a yellow. I'm not sure who was involved in that one. Of course, we have seen the driver of Andrew Wood, but something else has happened. So we're back to caution here at Chicagoland. Have you seen what's happened there, Randy?
No.
Or was that a case of Andrew Wood being slow?
I haven't seen it yet. It may have been Andrew Wood. I had it in the replay, but it may have been Andrew Wood, though he doesn't ever look that far off the pace. That said, he's fallen well down the order, but that very well may have been the situation. David Sestello, maybe? He's slow right now. No, it wasn't Sestello by the looks of things. I am unsure.
You know what? I think it may have been Andrew Wood being slow, because I think he was slow after that caution while we were showing that replay, and he's just triggered that caution. So with 21 laps to go, back to yellow flag conditions here at Chicagoland. We're going to step aside once again here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. When we come back, we'll be bringing you the final countdown to the checkered flag. You do not want to miss this one. It's going to be a very exciting race, or end to this race here at Chicagoland. We will be back in a few moments' time. 18 laps remain as they cross the line this time around to take the green flag. That's all that will separate us from knowing who will take the win in the final round of the Classic IndyCar Series on the ovals. As we head to the final two races of the 2018 campaign, they will be on road courses. First of all at Silverstone in 2 weeks, and then in 4 weeks' time, the season finale at Phillip Island down under, as the pace car heads himself down back onto the pit lane. Around and about now, Matt Cook going to hold up the field just a little bit. Green flag flies here at Chicagoland as they come past the gantry. 18 laps remain. Randy Shoemake not going to get the start he needed to be able to challenge, but TM Hauser for third, going for trying to get around the outside of Henry Bennett. Little bit of touch on the apron on the inside. Managed to hold it off though there, Randy. A very skillful amount of driving, because at 200 miles an hour, you do not want to be making velocity changes like that.
No, you don't, as these guys get going here inside of 20 laps to go. Things are heating up in football as well, but I don't want to be posting spoilers, but man, oh man. I just heard a car in the wall somewhere. That may have been on pit road. I don't see anyone, but I thought I just heard some contact. But regardless, out in front, Matt Cook trying to fend off Randy Shoemake. Shoemake makes a bid for the inside, and Matt Cook is going to outbid him as they head through 3 and 4, coming towards 16 laps to go.
With 16 laps to go, Shoemake was looking left, looking right into 3 and 4, but wasn't able to get himself alongside Cook. Henry Bennett all of a sudden has switched himself on. Can he take the win? Can he attempt to take the championship in the Oval Championship? We'll have to wait and see, but TM Hauser could have something to say about that. Josh Chin, he's on a charge. He might still be a lap down, but he's just set the fastest lap of the race of 25.517, side by side for third position through 3 and 4, but Henry Bennett was able to hold off TM Hauser for now. We're going to stick with this battle for the top 4, top 6 now, because Lucas Laville and Jan Hoffman also still attaching onto the back of this one. They are a little bit behind. Top 7 covered by 1.1 seconds. These cars are inseparable in the closing stages here at Chicagoland.
They are, as we're approaching 10 laps to go here. Things are looking so crazy. 4 cars potentially fighting out for the win. You can maybe even argue 7, but I would say it's those top 4 that have the greatest chance between Cook, Shoemake, Bennett, and Hauser.
Between these 4 drivers, there could be a lot of action. Shoemake still looking to try and get himself around the outside of Matt Cook. Not sure if he's going to get it done, though. 13 laps remain now. The more that he sits and waits, the less opportunity he has. It might take him 2 or 3 laps to get the move done. And if he doesn't get the move done quick enough, then there isn't much more. Then the answer is going to be that Matt Cook will be the victor here today at Chicagoland for third position. Henry Bennett still holding off TM Hauser and Jan Hoffman. Hoffman, though, looking for a move on Hauser as he heads through 4. Looking to the outside through the tri-oval. But Hauser still holding off Hoffman. And Laville still sitting behind in 6th. Carson Bromley dropped back a little bit in 7th. Not able to keep up the positions of these top 6 at the moment here, Randy. But so far, the top 4 at least still can't decide where they're going to finish when the checkered flag drops in 11 laps time.
Yep, that's really the situation. Everyone jockeying for position. 11 laps to go as they hit the stripe. Randy Shoemake still tucked underneath that rear wing of Matt Cook. Now pokes out a little bit, but those top 2 are starting to stretch away as Henry Bennett and TM Hauser are starting to fight for this just a little bit. So those top 2 have been given a little bit of breathing room, and I think it's going to be between either Cook or Shoemake as we get to the end.
And I have a feeling it could be the same. I don't think Henry Bennett's going to be close enough. 10 to go as they cross the line this time. 190 laps completed. 10 more remaining. If we get another caution, I have a feeling we will hit the time limit. TM Hauser to the outside through turn 2 of Henry Bennett. Almost making contact between the 2. But Bennett just going to use that lower groove. Hold off the position for now, but for TM Hauser, he's still trying to get himself around the outside. 4.5 minutes. If we stay green, we will know who will be the victor here at Chicagoland Speedway. Lucas Laville now looking to try and get himself Jan Hoffman. He's looking to get himself around Henry Bennett, but TM Hauser has that all-important lower groove as they head through 3 and 4. Actually, he's going to lose out to Jan Hoffman, so Hoffman moves himself up into 4th position. He's now going to have a go at Henry Bennett, but Hauser to the inside. Hauser trying to get the position back. Logical Vortex versus Logical Vortex is going to end with the Logical Vortex car being in 4th position. I can tell you that much. And the car that's going to get it is TM Hauser.
Yep, Hauser's doing everything he can. Still, this 4-car train for P3 is so close. It's much more competitive than what we're seeing out in front. Well, I wouldn't say much more, but Shoemake just hasn't been able to get close enough to Matt Cook to be able to make a move. 7 laps to go at the stripe.
7 laps remaining in this one now. Shoemake still looking, just a 10th separates themselves. The 2 leaders. And Shoemake, I think he's just trying to sit in the groove, go for a late race move, because he knows that as soon as he gets past, Matt Cook could have the opportunity to get back past. If he can get it done on the final corner of the final lap, Matt Cook will have no opportunity to get to the race lead back off of Randy. So for Randy Shoemake now, he needs to leave it as late as possible. 6 to go at the stripe. And I have a feeling that it is going to be a late race lunge from Shoemake that will get the move done if he's going to attempt it.
Yeah, it's going to have to be for sure for Randy Shoemake. He's not in position yet. Things are getting dicey behind between Bennett, Hauser, and Hoffman. And there's a little bit of jockeying for position as they came off turn 4. 5 laps to go when they get to the stripe. And as we get in towards this realm, it's important to remember, at this point, a caution flag ends the race.
So if anyone causes that yellow flag to come out, we will finish behind the iRacing pace car, and it will confirm whoever is ahead as the winner here at Chicagoland. Randy Shoemake once again looking to the higher grade. We have a yellow! That means that Matt Cook wins at Chicagoland.
Let's see if we can find the incident. We've been struggling with that the last couple of times.
Andrew Wood.
Andrew Wood, unfortunate for him, as he's down on pit road. He was running inside the top 10 at the time. Need to rewind the cameras back a little bit further. This looks like it happened off of corner number 2. We see them go wheel to wheel through 1 and 2. Driving with that number 35 car on the inside, pushes up a little bit. And Andrew, I mean, that was Carson Broadway on the bottom. Really not much Andrew Wood could do there.
No, there really wasn't for Andrew Wood. It was that unfortunate incident that not only brings his race to a close, but everyone else's as well. With 3 laps remaining, it is going to be certain that we will finish under the iRacing pace car. We will complete the 200 laps, mind you. So, with the cautions that we've had to get all this late on in the race, just proves how fast these cars go around here and how fast this race happens. 350 miles, and it's almost like we blinked. But for Matt Cook, what a drive up at the front of the field, Randy. He did everything in his power to make sure that he was able to bring himself onto victory lane today, and he did that in the most perfect way possible.
Yeah, you're right. That 46 car was absolutely perfect as they circulate here just to close this thing out. But you're right. It was such aggressive fighting up near the front of the field. Unfortunately, we don't get to see him running out for green, but running out under green. But with all the cautions we had today, ending it under yellow is almost fitting.
And it just shows that everything can happen, and it's definitely not over until that checkered flag flies. Having that checkered flag fly really is the important thing for these drivers, because they know what happened. For Josh Chen, I think actually 12th position for him today after his issues on pit lane and his issues coming out of turn number 2. That's not a bad result. He was the first driver who was off the lead lap, and he's still got a good points haul. Okay, it's not really that important because he's only done really half a season. But for the number 93 Toad Camaro driver, it's a good result.
It is a good result, and he needs to, I think, in some regards, hang his head high here. But still, he's not. I know Josh well enough. He's not going to be happy with the way this race went, especially because at least one of those incidents that he had was a mistake he made all by himself. So we got 2 more laps to log here under yellow. Unfortunately, of course, not much to talk about here. But of course, Henry Bennett, pretty much locks up the Oval Championship here. I think finishing P3, does he not?
I will have to double check. I do have it somewhere, but I need to go and find it. So if you can give me 2 minutes, I will make sure. But the battle also for the mid pack, the likes of Lucas Laville, especially moving his way up the field. He's up 16 on where he started. He is your biggest mover and shaker of the race, actually, alongside the driver of Carsten Brodby. So both of them really using that mid-pack and the calamities that we did see in the mid-pack and the great racing that we saw in the mid-pack to get themselves vital points in the championship and a good finishing position in the final oval of the season.
Yep, definitely is for sure. As these guys getting ready to take that white flag. And what's your big takeaway from this one, Henry? You know, of course, we've been watching a lot of those drivers up near the front of the field all day long. But what's been your big takeaway? As I'm getting a little excited over some football games that are happening on another screen.
I would probably say actually the drive, the comeback from Randy Shoemake, and of course we do have to pick our driver of the day. He's going to be my nomination because it just shows that you don't give up. If it goes wrong, you do not give up and you carry on. Josh Chin tried, and unfortunately he had a bit of a moment and lost the rear end, and it just does show that for some drivers it really isn't over, and for Randy Shoemake, he proved that today. I know I've said it many times today, and you're probably all bored of me saying it, but it is truthful. And I can confirm that if Matt Cook wins the race, Henry Bennett should not finish better than third, and even then it will depend on the bonus points. So we cannot confirm who's going to be the Oval Championship or the Oval Champion until the official results are released. If Bennett scores 28 points or less, then this will become one of his drop weeks and his points stay the same. And I know for a fact I think he's going to score more than that. Cook sits at 160 points. If Cook can win, I think might hand it to him by the smallest of possible margins. But we will have to wait and see, because the field, of course, are currently bringing themselves around that final corner. It's not going to be the dramatic checkered flag that I think everyone was hoping for. It's going to finish under the safety car, but for Matt Cook, he's going to round off the final oval of the season the way that he wanted to. He's going to round it off to victory lane. Congratulations to Matt Cook. Congratulations to all of the drivers. Give us 30 seconds. We'll be able to take you down to your final finishing positions here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, what a great race there for Matt. Really was the dominant car all day. I don't think there's any question of that. But yeah, we will be going down your post-race results in just a moment. That 46 car is going to cruise on around. I think we're likely to see some celebrating.
I would not be surprised if we do see some celebrating. So we can take you down to your final finishing positions here at Chicagoland Speedway and show you how things rounded off. Matt Cook able to complete the 200 laps in a time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, 51 seconds, 0.692. He won from Randy Shoemake in second after the comeback drive that he needed to pull off. Henry Bennett in third. We cannot confirm who is the Oval Champion until the official results are released. TM Hauser in fourth, Jan Hoffman in fifth, Lucas Seville in sixth. Good points haul there for Logical Vortex Sim Racing. Carsten Brodby in seventh, Robert Grosser in eighth, Timo Signemi in ninth, Andrew Odette Saunders rounding out the top 10. Sam Winton, the last car on the lead lap in 11th, and Josh Chin in 12th. John Elswarmer 13th, Mike Gelliker 14th, Caleb Weekly in 15th, Jos van der Ven 16th, David Cicello 18th, Randy Crosno David Cicello in 17th, Randy Crosno 18th, Johnny Garrett in 19th. Andrew Wood is going to be the first of your non-finishers. The rest are going to be Noah McBride, Benjamin Gregory, Hans Pickenen, Sam Sanders, Marshall Stanley, Todd Novosad, Joshua Baird, and Jonathan Diggs, with Matt Molnard being a non-starter. We're going to step aside for a couple of moments here on the iRacing Esports Network. We'll be back with post-race coverage from Chicagoland. Stick around. After 200 laps of racing, we know who was able to take the win, and it was Matt Cook in the number 46. He manages to bring himself down onto victory lane. He was very busy celebrating while we were running you through your final finishing positions, and well, Randy, you're stood by with that very driver down on victory lane.
Yep, I'm stood by with Matt Cook. And Matt, it was a big win for you today. Talk us through it. You were pretty much the dominant car all evening, or excuse me, all morning. But you had a couple different people really harassing you the entire time. Josh Chin was fighting with you for a large period of time. You also dealt with Randy Shoemake in those late stages. Talk me through your race.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely just try to stay to the front as much as we can. Every time we had to, go in for fuel or anything like that, it's quickly get our way back through. But in terms of the actual battles, Josh, Randy, even Henry, when he was close by, was, definitely a threat.
And last oval race of the season, and I know that for you, you're pretty much an oval specialist. I know you've worked on you've been working on your road course game quite a bit. But I know just being able to pull this out here on an oval is going to be important to you at the end of the season. Talk me through that as well.
Yeah, I definitely have to continue working on the road side of things. Not something that I ever was the best at, but definitely trying to keep on that. And racing against guys like Henry, Josh are definitely, helping that as I can learn from them just as much as I'm hoping they learn a little bit from me on the oval. But overall, looking forward to the end of the season. Congratulations to Henry once again on winning the championship, and kind of take things from there.
Well, thanks for joining us, Matt, and congratulations once again on the big win. Before we let you go, who gets it done for you in that 46?
Definitely want to give a big shout out to AeroX. Great job this week, and more or less also to you guys for putting on a great show, and Robert for hosting the league again.
Well, there he was, race winner tonight, Matt Cook. As always, somewhat understated, Mr. Jack Stiles, but I believe you have our second place finisher of the night, Mr. Randy Shoemake.
I do indeed have Mr. Randy Shoemake. Randy, first of all, congratulations on getting yourself back to second position. Take us through what happened to drop you back so far through the field that caused that comeback drive.
Jack, I appreciate it. I'm not sure. I thought, came up to the inside of cars. We may have been 3 wide, and I thought somebody just slammed me, from the right side, and I was able to keep the car off the wall, stay on the lead lap. Very fortunate there, and just got the car repaired before I ever got lapped, and it got me back to the position I had, and that's all thanks to Matt for the setup. And you could see we were, fortunate to go back through the field.
And of course, those final few closing stages, I know myself and Randy were getting very excited up here in the booth. You look so close to being able to get yourself past Matt Cook again, but were you just waiting for those closing stages to make sure that Matt didn't have a chance, or did you just not have the pace to get past before the caution came out?
Didn't want to risk a chance. Matt's my teammate. I wanted to, give him every opportunity to win that championship. He told me early on, he goes, "Go race your race." But I had tried to make a pass on Matt early in that last run, and it allowed Henry to get, very, very close to us. I didn't want to take that chance again, and yes, I would have loved to have, made a run for it, but just didn't have the opportunity that I felt was safe and doable.
And then, of course, final 2 races of the season, we're back over to Silverstone. We're crossing the pond to Silverstone, then to Phillip Island. 2 road courses, very different to this super speedway, the speedway of Chicagoland. Are you going to be competing in those races because it's vital point for the championship, or are you going to sit them out because maybe don't want to risk it? I mean, I know some drivers will only do road and some drivers will only do oval in this series.
No, I am competitive here on the ovals. You see me, I think I had an 8th at the last road race, which was my best in the CSI, and so the Classic IndyCar Series. I apologize. So I'm looking forward to it. I would like to improve as much as I can and become a better road racer. But so I will definitely compete and looking forward to it.
And of course, before we let you go back to your team and celebrate your second position today, who would you like to give a shout out to?
I want to say happy birthday to my oldest son. It's his 29th birthday, and I'm so proud of the young man that he's become, and I just wish him a happy birthday. Hope he has a wonderful day.
And there is Randy Shoemake. Happy birthday to your son. And Randy, you are stood by with third place finisher and our final interviewee for today, and that is the 007 of Henry Bennett.
Yep, last one for tonight. Finishing P3, that 007 car of Henry Bennett. Henry, pretty up and down day for you. I think you were as far up at one point as P1, maybe even, I can't know. I don't know if you led or not actually today. But you're up near the pointy end of the field for a good chunk of the day, but you also found yourself deep in the mid-pack. Talk me through driving this old IndyCar here at Chicagoland.
This race was a lot of fun. Kind of wish I put a little bit more time into setting the car up. I thought we had some good setups from Kansas and just copied one of those over, but slightly off pace to start with. But got a decent enough car, but nothing compared to what Matt and the rest of iRacing had. But yeah, car felt pretty good. Could hang with Matt and the rest early in the stint, but then the tyres just fell off a little bit and I couldn't keep up in their draft, so dropped back a bit. I think I did actually lead for about 10 metres out of the pit stops. I think this is the track where there's a bit of a glitch on pit exit, and I think my last stop on the last yellow, I came out ahead of Randy, but iRacing decided not to let me have it, so that would have been my only part of the race leading.
Now, I know that you're putting a lot of focus on the IR18 side of things as well. Tell some of the people who watch, what are the big differences between this old IndyCar and the new IndyCar that we have driving on these ovals? Because definitely seems like there's a lot more aero push in the newer ones. You can definitely stay tucked up much closer, it feels like, in the new ones. Tell us about some of the differences in driving the two cars.
Yeah, you nailed it. A lot more aero push in the new one, but a lot more drafts at the same time. So you can feel the draft here with the old IR05 at about 1 second back, but with the new IR18, or maybe not even 1 second, 0.7 seconds back with the IR05. With the IR18, it's about 2 seconds back to start to feel the draft. At the same time, that's when you start to feel aero push as well. So if you drove one and then the other, there's just a massive difference in aero push, and you can, as you say, stay tucked up and really follow through the corners a lot closer in the old car. But at the same time, you don't get the overspeed with the draft, so passing is actually a little more difficult in the old car compared to the new car.
Well, thanks for joining us, Henry. Congratulations on an amazing podium finish from you tonight. Before we let you go, who gets it done for you in that 007 Power Slide machine?
Power Slide guys, Woodith as well, been a great teammate all season. You guys at Race Sport and the guys that organised the league.
Well, there he was, third place finisher of the night, Henry Bennett. I think pretty happy with this situation, and I believe technically with this finish here tonight, Jack, the oval side champion as well as the overall.
Yeah, that's...
No,
yeah.
I'd have to disagree with that.
That is an assumption.
I've done the calculations, and Matt Cook is the oval champion.
Yeah, well, that's anticlimactic.
Sorry to disagree.
So that pretty much confirms that Matt Cook is your oval champion. And of course, one thing left to do, Randy, before we round out our coverage of the Classic IndyCar Series is choose our driver of the day and that driver who will win the Pro Key for Joel Real Timing. I've just got to remember who's already won it this season, so he's ineligible. Hang on.
Of course, you've done a lot more of these, so you'll be a little bit more knowledgeable. Shoemake, I thought, did really well with his drive coming back forward through the field.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking is, of course, the drive from Shoemake. And he is one of the drivers who hasn't actually yet won the award this season. So I think that pretty much confirms that me and Randy are in a very same wavelength of thought. So Randy Shoemake is going to be our driver of the day, who wins himself a Pro Key to Joel Real Timing. Enjoy that one, Randy. It's a great application and one that every iRacer should look to adding to their app repository. That's about all we have time for here at Chicagoland on the iRacing Esports Network for the Classic IndyCar Series. But before we go, let's give a shout out to all of those who get it done. So, of course, Istvan Balau and TrackCams22.com providing our track cameras that we use on our broadcast so you can see all the action that happens. Our overlays are designed by the absolutely fantastic Andron Design and Andreas Werner and developed by AppEngineering.com, and Simon Grossman with App ATVO. And of course, live timing and scoring, as always, provided by Nick Thyssen. That's available at RacebotTV/timing. That's about all we have time for here this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you may be in the world on the iRacing Esports Network. And you can join us back here next week for more action-packed racing across all of the broadcast providers. It's not something you ever want to miss, and it's something that, of course, that if you are not subscribed, make sure you hit that button to make sure that you keep up with everything that goes on. From myself, Jack Stiles, from Randy Chenworth, and from everyone at Racebot TV, we thank you for tuning into all of our coverage over the weekend at the Sim Racing Expo, and we'll be back next week. But before then, good night.